The president has been openly feuding with Barr after he concluded that the Department of Justice has not seen fraud on a scale that could have affected a different outcome in the presidential election. At the White House, John Decker, Fox News.
It's official. California's 55 electoral votes putting President-elect Biden over the top.
Joseph R. Biden of Delaware, a Democrat. Ayes 55. Noes 0.
Confirming the Biden victory in last month's election, Biden's expected to speak later this hour. An excerpt released earlier, he's expected to say there is urgent work in front of all of us, getting the pandemic under control to getting the nation vaccinated against this virus. The first doses of the Pfizer vaccine for COVID-19 are being distributed across the country as the nation surpasses 300,000 deaths. Another COVID-19 relief package on the table is being presented by Republicans and Democrats in the House and Senate. One bill would provide $748 billion in aid for small businesses and vaccine distribution.
Basically what it does, it takes care of those who are unemployed. In an emergency, if you're unemployed, that's an emergency and you're running out of your unemployment check. We have 13 weeks or 16 weeks at $300 a week for that. Food assistance. We have nutrition assistance, food assistance.
West Virginia Democrat Joe Manchin, the second $160 billion package would include aid for state and local governments and create a temporary liability shield from COVID-related lawsuits. America is listening to Fox News.
2020 has already reshaped how we work, and it's almost over. Businesses across the globe are challenged to be their most efficient, which means every hire is critical. Indeed is here to help. Indeed helps you find quality candidates quickly, so you can focus on hiring the person you need to keep your business going. Unlike other sites, Indeed gives you full control and payment flexibility over your hiring. You only pay for what you need, can pause your account at any time, and there are no long-term contracts. And now, Indeed's new way of matching you with candidates instantly delivers a short list of quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job criteria that you can contact the moment you sponsor a job, making Indeed the only job site that can move as fast as you do. Right now, Indeed is offering a free $75 credit to boost your job post, which means more quality candidates will see it fast. Get started on Indeed.com/Fox. Offer valid through December 31st. Terms and conditions apply.
Indoor dining in New York City is on hold again.
Restaurants are still permitted to have takeaway, delivery, and can provide outdoor dining. That means customers can be served at street-side tables as well as in temporary structures. An industry group, the New York Hospitality Alliance, issued a statement that read in part, Governor Cuomo's announcement to once again shut down indoor dining in New York City is at odds with the state's own data, adding it will be the last straw for countless more restaurants and jobs. Making the situation worse is the weather. Rain today is keeping diners away, and later this week, heavy snow is in the forecast. In New York, David Lee Miller, Fox News.
Britain's health secretary says London and its surrounding areas will be placed under the highest level of coronavirus restrictions starting Wednesday.
Negotiation isn't just something union leaders and sports agents do. Your entire day is a series of negotiations. If you have young children, you know that. In fact, your kids can teach you a lot about negotiating with grown-ups. According to the world's greatest negotiator, Herb Cohen, author of You Can Negotiate Anything. Herb says that kids understand the process of decision-making within an organization. When one parent says no, they'll ask the other. And Cohen says children persist and persevere. And like smart negotiators of all ages, kids know that no is an opening bargaining position. With money and attention so scarce now, effective communication skills have never been more important, especially if you're a job seeker. For more tips, hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
I got my first Barbie when I was 37 years old, and even when I was younger, I knew I didn't need to look like her to feel good about myself. And just because Barbie has a size 0 waist and wears dark makeup, does that mean that's the only way to be beautiful? I mean, what kind of message does that send to men like me? I always remember that this is just a silly toy, and it shouldn't change the way I look at myself. And if anyone has a problem with me being myself, well, then they're probably not really my friends. I also don't just play with Barbies. I play with Legos and Mega Bloks, because while I definitely like Barbies, I like building things too, and I'm actually really, really good at it. My name is Tim Mortensen. I'm 43 years old, and I know that I don't need to be defined by Barbie. I can be whoever I want to be.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
This is Free Talk Live, talk radio that you control, and you can call in and talk about anything that's on your mind. That toll-free number is 855-450-3733. Again, that's 855-450-FREE, as in freedom. With you tonight, it's Ian.
And you just called yourself Ian.
Sorry, I was focused on the fact that the music wasn't dying down at all.
Yeah, you could just turn it down there on the board if you need to.
Yeah. Okay, good to know. So anyway, this is Arya, not Ian. Sorry about that. I was distracted and trying to solve problems while speaking. It's Ian
it's
and
hard
Arya.
to do, man.
It is, man.
Yes, it is. We are here again.
We are. Free Talk Live, as always, 7 nights a week. So I don't know if people have been paying attention. The U.S. government, apparently, aspects of the U.S. government have been hacked. And
good. All right.
Yeah, they're blaming Russia for it. Who knows why? I mean, they just draw a name out of a hat and blame them.
Well, just blame whatever the politically convenient, culprit.
Well, with the Democrats coming in, Russia is the obvious one to blame. I mean, if the Democrats hadn't won the presidential election, I imagine they would be pointing the finger at China instead, because the Trump administration has been enjoying that this entire time. So who knows what's really going on and who's really responsible?
Who got hacked?
Well, it's an extensive story, apparently, and they're still not entirely sure. The feds are still trying to determine how screwed they are after this massive SolarWinds hack.
Now, didn't Google also go down this morning or yesterday or something like that?
Google went down a day or two ago, and then it went down again today.
Really?
And it's unclear whether or not it's one of these companies, but it did affect 425 of the Fortune 500 companies, as well as all 5 branches of the U.S. military.
Wait, when you say it did, you mean Google's hack?
I mean this hack.
The government hack?
Yes.
Okay.
Well,
how would that have affected the Fortune 500 companies?
Is Alphabet not one of the Fortune? Well, they all use this software called SolarWinds.
Okay.
And it was compromised.
And what the heck is that?
I don't know. I haven't read a whole lot about it. I've never used it before. It seems to be some sort of... Let's get into the story then. So a cyber attack that began by targeting an IT firm used by numerous federal government agencies, Fortune 500 companies, and other high-value targets is shaping up to be a historic event, according to Gizmodo. The U.S. government is still reeling after the detection of a massive foreign intrusion into federal computer systems at agencies including, at minimum, the Department of Homeland Security, the Treasury, and the Commerce Department. As one employee of the DHS's Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, the primary cybersecurity agency of the federal government. God, there's so many long acronyms and agencies
names.
within agencies, man. Yep. Many government agencies don't know how on fire they are yet. I suspect they're screwed, dude. It sounds massive.
Take them down. I don't care who it was. I don't care if it was the Russians or Anonymous. We haven't heard from them in a while. But whatever, man. I think is completely legitimate because no human beings are being harmed.
No, absolutely not.
If you hack government information systems.
Another U.S. government official told Gizmodo that this was going to be one of the most consequential cyber attacks in U.S. history, and that the feds suspect that, quote, the news is going to get worse. Another representative of the government in a related article said, quote, it's really, really bad.
This is a nice Christmas gift. Thank you to whoever it was.
The extent of the breach is still unclear beyond that malware may have been spreading on affected systems for months.
Ooh.
It also comes shortly after Donald Trump fired the chief of CISA, one of their cybersecurity firms. I mean, they have 4,000. It's no wonder they can't get anything done. They have too many people trying to do the same job. This couldn't have come at a worse time, as the CISA's resources are under strain, and the government official quoted by Politico said there is, quote, massive frustration with CISA on a sluggish response to agency breaches. And the agency appears to be overwhelmed.
Wait, are you saying that the government is slow to respond even to serious issues?
It would seem so.
Oh,
they don't know what they're doing. I would only hope that what happened here was that this malware that is spreading on government computers is ransomware. and all of their files get encrypted.
And then some really brilliant hackers get very wealthy.
That would be the best outcome of this, I think. And then, obviously not decrypt the files, as a lot of ransomware people are doing these days.
I wouldn't have a problem with it if only the ransomware people were just targeting the government goons.
Yeah.
Like if they need to leave business owners alone. So I can't get behind ransomware just as a general concept unless it were only deployed to government agencies. Then I could be fine with it.
Ransomware is a tricky subject. I've had to deal with it. My very first ever Bitcoin purchase was made in order to decrypt a company's files from one of these ransomware hackers. This was CryptoWall, I think 2.0, way back in the early days of ransomware, when if you paid the ransom, they would actually decrypt your files. But then a lot of copycats came along, and they just started taking the Bitcoin and not decrypting people's files, and it became
right.
It became more and more messy.
How do you trust an anonymous criminal?
Yeah, during those days, you actually could.
Yeah,
but
the good old days of ransomware.
Yeah, now the solution is really just to back up your files regularly. That way, if they get encrypted, you can just restore the unencrypted versions.
So it looks like this SolarWinds company that was, I guess, involved in being hacked, it sounds like here. They're the ones providing
the software
service
to the governments, or the service to the government. And
it looks like
companies.
They provide several services: network management, systems management, IT security, database management, IT service management, application management, and managed service providers. So like high-level kind of IT network management stuff that that governments would want to not have to do themselves, basically.
Well, and clearly they're not very good at it. I mean, your number one job as one of these companies is to not let your customers get hacked.
That's right, and they have failed.
Every indication so far is that the hackers involved have the backing of a nation state, with the White House viewing the most obvious suspect as Russian intelligence agencies. Those responsible built a...
Although, how do you really know? I mean, what do? Base it off the IP addresses that came in? They're probably behind some sort of VPN, proxy, Tor, all of the above, or whatever. So
a few years ago, there was one that tried to base the entire argument on the fact that the computer's time was set to Moscow's time. It's like, dude, that is the weakest argument ever.
Right. Anybody that wants to make it look like they're from Russia can make it look like they're from Russia if they're hacking you.
Yeah, it takes like 3 seconds to do. Maybe 4 clicks. But they don't know what they're talking about. Those responsible for the hack built a backdoor into Orion, an IT management software that is produced by SolarWinds, possibly breaking into Microsoft email accounts and other systems. They then used it to contaminate software updates provided by the company with malware in March and June 2020. So this went on for quite a while. In addition to U.S. government agencies...
So they put backdoors in the updates. Is that what that just said?
They put malware in the updates.
Okay, and they used a backdoor to put malware in the updates, meaning that the company itself was serving updates to its clients with malware built into it.
Correct.
That is nasty.
They are not a very good IT firm, clearly.
Wow.
In addition to U.S. government agencies, the attackers also hit security firm FireEye, who you probably wouldn't want to hire, evidently. Senior Vice President and Chief Technical Officer Charles Carmichael told Bloomberg the firm was subsequently able to trace the intrusion back to SolarWinds before it notified authorities. So SolarWinds filed documents with the Securities and Exchange Commission on Monday stating the Orion product, the text is very small here, is used by 33,000 entities. So the software that they're providing that has had these malicious updates going all the way back to March is used by 33,000 different entities, about 18,000 of which may have installed infected versions from March to June 2020. Once inside the targeted systems, the hackers could then gain a foothold from which to install other malware, which can't be removed simply by disconnecting Orion. Politico reported the attackers may also have compromised Microsoft email servers used by institutions that downloaded the infected updates in order to steal authentication tokens that gave them broader access.
Wow.
So, I mean, the U.S. government is just getting wrecked of this because evidently they put all of their eggs in the SolarWinds basket.
Why wouldn't they?
And SolarWinds...
the government.
Right. They love their monopolies, and they're like, hey, here's a company that wants a monopoly over our IT systems. Sounds like a good idea.
I'm sure this is owned by somebody's kid. This is probably a well politically connected IT company.
Well, the United States just got wrecked. The United States government.
Apparently,
and
they're in the middle of getting wrecked. They said
that's
that
true.
they don't even know the extent of all the damage, right?
Well, they know it's, quote, really, really bad.
Yeah.
But that doesn't really tell us a whole lot. And I don't expect them to really tell us a whole lot about the extent of the damage because, I mean, they are the government. They don't want to tell us how badly,
vulnerable. Oh,
and
whoops,
how badly
we
they
forgot to change the default password.
We just use the password of password. We don't see the problem with that. I had always heard that was how Podesta got hacked, or Podesta, whatever his name is. 855-450-3733. Are you happy about this like we are? Give us a call. Let us know. 855-450-FREE, as in freedom.
Divvy's been a pretty good investment for Free Talk Live. Their ad campaign started in September 2019, and from mid-March to mid-July, the values soared by 10 times. It's not too late. Divvy's new wallet hasn't even released yet, and other things are happening that I can't even say on the radio. If you want to invest and potentially do well, go to DivvyProject.org. I can tell you that FTL is deepening its partnership with the guys from DivvyProject.org. Past performance is not an indication of future profit. DivvyProject.org. DIVI Project.org. Freedom! Freedom is the call of the untamed Scotsman and all others that want to feel the wind under their kilts.
At Free Talk Live, we love the breezy, swinging feeling that only a kilt from Sport Kilt can give.
We teamed up with Sport Kilt to let you experience their form of freedom at a discount. Go to kilts.freetalklive.com and see a picture of Richie and me in our kilts.
And then head over to sportkilt.com. Get some stylish freedom for yourself and use code FTL for a 10% discount. Sportkilt.com.
Bitcoin.com is the best source for learning about cryptocurrency. Go there now, click on Get Started at the top of the page. Once you do that, you'll find a cornucopia of information, neatly organized for your needs. If you're a knowledgeable crypto user, check out news.bitcoin.com where you can get the latest headlines. Bitcoin.com is your source for buying cryptocurrency, getting a wallet app, mining, trading, and all the latest cryptocurrency news, all on a slick and easy-to-use website. All put together by the best minds in the business to teach you about cryptocurrency. Bitcoin.com.
Do you want more businesses accepting Bitcoin Cash and Dash? Now with AnyPay, you earn passive income for every purchase at those businesses. Finally, a financial incentive to spread Bitcoin Cash and Dash. You made it happen, so you receive the rewards. Download the AnyPay Cash Register app and add your cryptocurrency wallet addresses. Then install it at a real-life business and tell us what you did at AnyPayInc.com. AnyPayInc.com.
Free Talk Live.
They're the mafia. They function like the mafia. They think like the mafia. They hire people who think like the mafia. The only difference is they put on a front that there's something legitimate and legal and valid about all of it.
Well, there's no Don in this particular mafia. The Don is the majority of people who went out and voted and then put their new Don in place. And sometimes the Dons change and sometimes they don't. Incumbents are very difficult to unseat, and but their henchmen stay in place the whole time. It's quite a sophisticated mob operation.
It is. Well,
that
it's
they
the
have.
mafia that is so successful and that has so brilliantly pulled the wool over people's eyes that they've actually gotten people to give them their children so the mafia can educate them into believing that they need the mafia.
Right. We have free indoctrination camps. Schools for you to send your kids to.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com.
Look, I'm sorry, but you're in for a world of pain if you use Coinomi. The reason is their wallet doesn't support payments. The solution is simple. Let them hear your voice. Message Coinomi on Twitter, it takes 5 seconds, and tell them AnyPay sent you, because they're on the fence right now, and your voice will prove that people care about using Bitcoin for payments. Go tweet at Coinomi now. Or even better, leave a review in the App Store. They really pay attention there. Thanks.
This is the Liberty Radio Network, broadcasting the latest liberty-oriented audio content 24 hours a day at LRN.FM.
Free Talk Live, talk radio that you control. You can call in to talk about anything that's on your mind. That toll-free number is 855-450-3733. With you tonight, it's Aria.
It's Ian.
And we're talking about idiocy here, like the idiocy with the American government and 425 of the Fortune 500 companies putting all of their eggs in this one IT firm's basket. And that IT firm clearly didn't know what they were doing, because evidently I just found in a related article that just a few days ago, they had their entire list of company customers available publicly on their website.
That doesn't sound like a good idea. I mean, I can understand you want to brag, right? Like you want to say, we got Microsoft or whatever, right? But should you really list their entire list? I mean, you should probably go to your clients first and say, hey, can we, promote that we're partners?
It's bad IT security for sure to be like, hey, yeah, we're the IT firm that's providing the software for all of these people. So,
although, to your point about putting all the eggs in one basket, on the other hand, if you're an individual company, you probably don't want to hire more than one IT firm to handle things, right? So, I mean, it makes sense to hand those responsibilities to one person. But what you mean is that all these different government agencies also hired the same IT firm,
right.
So they had all of the government agencies in the same basket.
Despite, I would point out that the U.S. government has several of its own IT departments.
They do,
including the Cybersecurity Administration, whatever the crap it was that we talked about just a few minutes ago. Why weren't those guys handling the IT infrastructure here?
Because they're bureaucrats.
Well,
I mean, look, the fact is this company was probably bad, but the bureaucrats would have failed even harder. Because they don't have the incentive. They don't have any incentive for excellence whatsoever.
That's tragic. Yeah. So how do you fix that problem then?
With bureaucracy, you don't have any.
So there's no way to fix the bad IT security problem with the bureaucracy?
Well, I mean, they can hire a very, very good IT firm and hope that they don't drop the ball because they're getting lazy because they know that the government money is like sweet, sweet money and it just keeps coming in and you can get 10 times as much as any other client or whatever. Maybe that's what makes them lazy.
Which is probably what happened here.
Yeah, I mean, it could be. Or there is also the possibility that this company had somebody on the inside who made it possible for whoever it was on the outside to gain access.
They could have just compromised SolarWinds, but they did more, said Vincent Liu, the CEO of cybersecurity firm Bishop Fox. They turned that one compromise into who knows how many other compromises that we're going to be learning about for weeks, and we may never know the full impact. And I would hope that the CEO of this cybersecurity firm understands that if they never learned the full impact of this compromise, then they have never fixed the compromise.
Right. There's all kinds of breaches still potentially that could exist. If they haven't detected them, how would they know?
Yeah, you can't just say as an IT company, oh, we're never going to know how bad this compromise really is. You have to know the extent of it. A supply chain attack like this is an incredibly expensive operation. The more you make use of it, the higher likelihood you get caught or burned, FireEye Threat Director John Holtquist told the New York Times. They had the opportunity to hit a massive quantity of targets, but they also knew that if they reached too far, they would lose their incredible access. Well, what is too far? If they managed to hit 425 Fortune 500 companies in all 5 branches of the U.S. military, how far could they have gotten with this before well, evidently that's how far they could have gotten. 425 companies.
Impressive.
Yeah. Another U.S. official who spoke with Politico blamed Cozy Bear, a hacking group the U.S. government believes it's associated with or run by Russia's Foreign Intelligence Service.
Why? Because we said so.
Yeah, and Yahoo has already taken that allegation and is running with it.
As fact.
Yes, their very first sentence in the article is that the United States government is still reeling from a hacking attempt by this Russian company. This assessment was backed by sources that spoke with the Washington Post. So they have no evidence. They're just saying it was Russia, which we've seen countless times. Cozy Bear, along with a different unit called Fancy Bear, were among the suspected Russian intelligence. What do they name these people that?
The Care Bears.
CrowdStrike is the Russian intelligence asset security firm that is associated with all of these, and it's determined that it was the one that gained access to Democratic National Community servers during the 2016 elections. There was no evidence of that either. Just pointing out.
Yeah, it would be interesting if this hack group was on Trump's side, right? Because Trump has purportedly lost, right? Like the official numbers, I guess, are supposed to be in.
Yeah, the electors did their thing yesterday or today or something.
And I guess that Congress is supposed to certify that sometime next month. So this whole process still isn't quite over yet, but the electors came back with the numbers. So, but some people believe that Trump's going to somehow pull a rabbit out of his hat in the last minute. I mean, these total, political fantasies, believing that Trump can somehow do this. Maybe this is part of that. Maybe it's going to get worse between now and the end of the year or Election Day. Maybe Biden takes over a completely technically broken federal government. I'm getting optimistic.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I don't like the idea that we've hired Joe Biden, who is...
I haven't. Just to let you know, I didn't hire Joe Biden.
I didn't either.
Right.
So that the United States government has hired, or that the United States voters have, and I don't know why I said hired, either elected Joe Biden, who's this 80-something-year-old man who is going to head up all of this. And I don't know about you, but I don't trust my grandmother to install Facebook Messenger on her cell phone.
Right.
I definitely don't want her heading up the United States government and its IT infrastructure.
Yeah.
According to The Verge, SolarWinds appears to have removed a client list from its website, including more than 425 of the companies listed on the Fortune 500, as well as the top 10 telecom operators in the United States. Presumably that's AT&T, Spectrum.
So they removed the client list, which of course means that it's still available on archive.org.
Oh,
right?
yeah, absolutely. I mean, you can't permanently remove a thing from the internet. So if you want to know what companies were possibly affected by this 6-month period of malicious updates presented by the company themselves, because evidently they didn't have anyone actually checking the code of what they were putting out there in their updates because they were being lazy.
Yep.
And presumably a lot of people got hit with malware. And it's thanks to SolarWinds and probably backdoor rooms with politicians and someone's cousin or brother or something getting this lucrative IT contract to appear like they were doing their job while making some severely stupid decisions.
Now, the question is, will the government gang hire a new IT company, or will this one be able to kiss enough butt to be able to say, look, we've learned our lesson. I mean, this was a really, really tough lesson, and we're so sorry about this. But ultimately, we just made a mistake, and we've given you guys a lot of campaign contributions over the years, so you're going to keep us, right?
Yahoo makes another really good point that anyone who started using the software during that period from March to July of 2020 automatically got malicious content because they didn't have to update. A lot of people don't update their software, so it's probably not 100% widespread among the users of SolarWinds. But presumably,
didn't they say it was
18,000
out of the number of 30-something that did?
I don't know.
I think it said that in the story at some point that you read. That it was like 18,000.
I do have that here in front of me. Fewer than 18,000 companies were using the vulnerable product, but these
that means the other ones hadn't upgraded.
These are major companies, though, like AT&T, Sprint. I mean,
you know what it's like at companies. They sit there on old versions of things. They use dot matrix printers, through the 1990s and the aughts. Probably still today, some of them have that stuff.
I tend to disable certain updates, like especially Microsoft updates, because Microsoft updates tend to brick computers.
Right. I've had that happen with updates.
Yeah, especially with servers. I mean, they break all kinds of nonsense. But yeah, so the United States government it's saying it's really, really bad. They don't know what they're going to do. 855-450-3733, 855-450-FREE, as in Free Talk Live.
Mounds and mounds of fur. Our hairballs have hairballs.
Marquette Mama, she's 10 years old. She has dandruff and an oily coat.
I have 2 cats, Dixie and Daisy. Daisy sheds like crazy.
If you love your pets as much as I do, you want to do what's best for them to live long, healthy, happy lives.
DINOVITE.com. I just tried this wonderful Catalicious Dynovite for cats, and my cat has been on it for 2 weeks. She is not scratching anymore. She's not chewing anymore. It is just the best.
I was thrilled when I heard Dynovite for cats was coming out because I'd seen the changes in my dog. To introduce my cats to Dynovite, I took the advice from Dynovite and put their food on top of just a scoop in the bowl, just to get them used to it, because I know if I even switch one little thing, they put their nose up to it. There was not one problem.
Dynovite for life. You won't believe how happy your cat will be.
DINOVITE.com.
Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm.
Are you tired of your taxes funding endless occupations around the world? Antiwar.com is run by people who understand that wars abroad become wars at home, wars on our freedoms. Antiwar.com is dedicated to bringing you the latest in news, views, interviews, and reviews from the top movers and shakers in the anti-occupation movement. Antiwar.com has it all, from thorough foreign policy analysis to interviews with whistleblowers who used to run the military-industrial complex. Anti-war, pro-free market. That's antiwar.com.
The LRN.FM's social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it.
I've been told no in many different ways.
I give you an order and you're going to obey it.
George, you can go this way. You can't do that and you have to leave here.
You cannot bring signs into the rally.
Walk with me.
Well, I'm comfortable here, actually. Whoa, hey.
Who do you think you are?
Excuse me.
There is no video and audio allowed in this office.
No, I have work today. This is...
You ain't going to make it.
Wait a minute.
Hey! Oh my God! Unbelievable!
Why are you running from me? Because you're scared me. What am I being detained for?
You're being served.
What is this?
You're being served.
What is this? Bureaucrats have a funny way of telling people no.
That's the sound of the men working on the chain.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com.
You can sign up to receive the latest about the Liberty Radio Network via our email updates at updates.lrn.fm. That's updates.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live, talk radio that you control. The only show where you can call and talk about anything that's on your mind. That toll-free number is 855-450-3733. With you tonight, it's Aria and Ian. And I'm going to tell you about Bitcoin.com because it's the best source for learning about cryptocurrency. You can go there now and click on Get Started at the top of the page. And once you do that, you'll find all kinds of information neatly organized by your needs. There's no longer an excuse to ignore this important world-changing information. But if you are a knowledgeable crypto user, check out news.bitcoin.com to get the latest headlines of all the news relevant to you. Bitcoin.com is your source for buying cryptocurrency, getting a wallet, mining, trading, and all the other latest cryptocurrency news, all on a slick and easy-to-use website, bitcoin.com. One more time, that's bitcoin.com. And I looked on the Wayback Machine here because it was pointed out in our Twitch chat that the Dominion software used in the election this year that was so controversial is evidently one of their listed customers. I don't know what the name of their company or parent. Dominion is the software. I don't know who produces it, but you can go to archive.org and you can find their, quote, partial customer listing, which includes companies like AT&T, Harvard University, MasterCard, Comcast, Dow Chemical,
MasterCard,
Nestle, The Economist, Time Warner Cable, University of Alaska.
Yeah,
I mean, it is extensive.
Massive companies.
H&R Block. Oh, man. The United States just got wrecked, dude. Procter & Gamble, man. New York Times, McDonald's restaurants listed as well.
Oh, man.
Fascinating.
That's
fascinating
awesome.
Time to be alive. They don't list any of the... Well, here it is. Yes, the U.S. Secret Service, the U.S. Department of Defense, the U.S. Postal Service, all proudly victimized in this. I don't want to call them victims, but all proudly hit in this latest malicious hack.
Yeah, I mean, I don't feel good about companies being hit per se. I mean, certainly big corporations I'm no fan of necessarily, but I'd rather see government goons take the beating, personally.
I don't see much difference between someone like AT&T and the United States government. So to me, it's like two sides of the same coin, because I mean, they have long since used the government as a weapon against other companies.
That's
so
true.
I don't really mind.
I'm not going to shed any tears over it. But, given the choice, I'd rather see government computer systems targeted. I mean, AT&T and all these other mega corporations, they definitely do the government's bidding. They definitely go down and kneel at the government's trough. They definitely donate money to the government. There's not much I can say that's good about them, besides the fact that they are actually providing people with a service, right? So if the hackers go in and they take down Verizon, AT&T, and Sprint, then a good chunk of the American population then doesn't have cell phone service, right? So,
True.
Like, if they really did go in and attack their systems, whereas if you go in and hit the delete button on all of the the federal government agencies' data, then that's just going to be a major cluster F, as they have to go and claw out however many hundreds of millions of paper files they've been saving, because they save those files. They must, because they're government. So they pay for professional document storage in
They do. Yeah.
climate control.
Attorneys are known for that as well, because they save this stuff for 10, 15, 20 years, and they save every scrap of paper.
Right. So they must have that for at least up until a certain point. Maybe at some point some of these agencies went all digital and they don't have paper anymore, but I imagine a bunch of them still do have archives and archives. So it would be a huge hassle for them to have to deal with that, and it would be amazing.
That would be amazing. I'm not saying you should hack the American government, but if you do, just click delete all and let it be done. So I'm kind of sad. Wells Fargo is not listed among their customers, which is unfortunate.
Oh well.
But anyway, back to COVID-19, because this is 2020 and that's everything in the news. Evidently, kids are, again, we're finding out, being what is the word they're using? Permanently harmed by
substantial deterioration in children's mental health, according to a Cambridge University study.
I might have an explanation for why that is, because I have a related story about a nurse who, after 9 months, is excited to get the vaccine so that she can, quote, finally hug her children. In the last 9 months, presumably.
She hasn't hugged her own children.
This mother of, yes.
And that's absolutely part of the reason why these kids are going to be seriously damaged. I mean, we already know that children who aren't, that don't receive enough contact from their parents via hugs, for instance, they are likely to kill animals and torture, puppies and things like that, and possibly go on to harm actual human beings because they are disconnected from other people.
Well, I've always heard that we need four hugs a day to maintain mental health and 12 hugs a day for emotional growth.
Wow. Okay. Well, I don't get anywhere near that.
No, I imagine most people don't.
I don't feel particularly damaged as a result of that. But certainly, as a young person, it's probably as a child, it's probably more important than at any other time in your life. But it's still a good idea, generally,
to hug your children,
to hug people, just people in general.
Sure. So, what is the story that you have about the children?
This is from the Foundation for Economic Education, and it's just, a study that justifies a lot of the things that we've been saying over the last year as to,
maybe it wasn't a good idea to do this?
Yeah, maybe taking away people's smiles from them might do some serious damage to, well, everyone, number one, but especially children, and especially the children who have no other experience in life beyond this crazy mask world, fear world situation that we're in.
And you're not kidding. People can check the archives at freetalklive.com. We have been saying this through the entire COVID-19, quote, pandemic and lockdowns, that this is going to irrevocably, I don't know why I can't say that one, but irreparably,
that's a good one,
damage children forever.
A new study by researchers at the University of Cambridge finds that government-imposed lockdowns in response to the coronavirus pandemic caused significant harm to children's mental health. The study, published this week in the Archives of Disease in Childhood, was the first of its kind to analyze data on younger children's mental health before and during the first lockdown in the United Kingdom this past spring. Following 168 children between the ages of 7.5 and 11.5, the researchers conclude, quote, During the UK lockdown, children's depression symptoms have increased substantially relative to before the lockdown. The scale of this effect has direct relevance for the continuation of different elements of lockdown policy, such as complete or partial school closures. They continue saying, specifically, we observed a statistically significant increase in the ratings of depression with medium to large effect size.
How do you depress an 8-year-old? That's almost an achievement in and of itself.
It's pretty easy. I mean, you take them away from the things that they're used to, like being able to hang out with their friends.
Yeah. And socializing and existing and smiling and laughing.
Now, I understand that the news media, and it's saying these days that kids are less likely to hang out with, prior to 2020, that young people were less likely to, quote, hang out with their friends, and they're hanging out online, which is, of course, not the same thing, right? Like being
what are they made, like playing games together?
Yeah,
that
playing
sort of
a
thing?
game, or like
but
being
not like having Zoom meetings?
Being in like a voice, some sort of a chat room or whatever. Doing whatever it is that, TikTok or whatever kind of online things that that young people do these days. So there's definitely has just over the years been a decline as far as young people physically hanging out. But that said, this year there was a severe decline in young people physically
it dropped to almost zero.
hanging out. Yeah, exactly. Because now you've got parents saying, oh, Johnny, I'm sorry, you can't go over there and play with Bobby anymore because Bobby might have a sickness and he could get your grandparents sick. And so now Bobby or whoever their friend is a potential carrier of a deadly disease, and now that's how they're being told to treat their friends. And in this case, their own parents, in the case that you were sharing.
One of the best things I've seen about all of this is a terrifyingly good point. It's just a little sticker that was posted somewhere, and it said, imagine doing all of this for a virus so deadly that you have to be tested to even know you had it. And that's just such a shockingly blunt and accurate point that I can't believe any of this is still being tolerated anywhere in the world.
Yeah. I really like the sticker that you're talking about, and actually it's part of a series of stickers called The White Rose. And the White Rose Society was something that happened back in the 1940s in, I believe it was in Germany.
It was in Nazi Germany.
And so that would be interesting to talk about at a later point, is the sort of the resurgence or the return of the White Rose Society. But there's more here about young people.
Have you hugged your children in the last 9 months? I can't believe that's even a real question. Let us know. 855-450-3733. Give your children a hug, please, for their mental health.
Silver has always been nature's very own antibiotic, and only one system allows you to generate an endless supply of natural silver solutions. SilverLungs.com. You'll find no wild claims or pseudoscience, just a lifetime of nano-sized pure silver solutions. The Silver Lungs generator allows you to make your own, so stop paying for silver solutions. The unique lung delivery system targets respiratory infections where other silver solutions simply cannot reach. See the Silver Lungs generator and lung delivery system at SilverLungs.com. That's SilverLungs.com.
It's not over. Sadly, our nation is going through tough times again, with no end in sight, and nobody knows what might happen next year. That's why it's a good idea to plan ahead, so you aren't caught off guard. Nothing's more important than having enough food to eat, and we're here to help. We're My Patriot Supply, America's leading emergency preparedness company. We provide long-term emergency food that lasts up to 25 years in storage. When grocery stores run empty or disasters strike, our foods will be there when you need it most. Act now and secure at least a 4-week emergency food kit full of tasty meals that provide 2,000 calories a day. We have dozens of emergency food storage kits to choose from. When the government tells you not to go out, you can have the peace of mind that comes from being prepared. When you order from MyPatriotSupply.com, your food will arrive discreetly at your doorstep in no time. Prepare today. Time is short. MyPatriotSupply.com. That's MyPatriotSupply.com.
Hi, I'm Dan Pilla. I started fighting the IRS over 40 years ago when they tried to seize my mother's house. I sued the IRS and won. I beat the IRS then, and I've been beating them ever since. I wrote the book on tax debt settlement, and I've helped thousands of people deal with tax problems they thought might never be solved. I can help you too. If you owe taxes you can't pay, don't wait another day. There's no such thing as a hopeless tax case. Call 800-34-NO-TAX or go to my website, danpilla.com. That's danpilla.com, danpilla.com.
On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. When you amp Free Talk Live, you get perks like access to the AMP-only Facebook group and AMP podcast. Visit amp.freetalklive.com. There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com. Bitcoin.com has launched a trading platform at local.bitcoin.com, allowing you to buy or sell Bitcoin Cash via dozens of payment methods like PayPal, Venmo, bank deposit, remittances, or meeting in person with cash. There are no ID requirements to sign up for and use the site, and all communications between buyers and sellers are encrypted. Finally, a global trading platform that respects your privacy. Visit local.bitcoin.com to get started trading Bitcoin Cash. local.bitcoin.com.
What's up next? Visit the Liberty Radio Network program guide to find out at shows.lrn.fm. That's shows.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live, talk radio that you control, the only show on national radio where you can take control of the airwaves and talk about whatever is on your mind. 855-450-3733 is the toll-free call-in number, 855-450-FREE, as in Free Talk Live. With you tonight, it's Aria and Ian, and we're talking about how messed up kids are going to be as a result of 2020 and presumably 2021, because I don't expect any of this crap to go away anytime soon. Evidently, some people are going without even hugging their children. It's absolutely insane. The extent to which people are going to protect each other has reached absolutely destructive and damaging levels, and no one seems to pay any attention to that. Restaurants in New York City are basically begging the government to allow them to continue staying open. They're like, hey, we're
just yesterday they shut down indoor dining in New York City.
They did.
Yeah.
And they're begging, look, we can't do this again. We're going to starve to death.
You got to stop begging. That's the problem. That's the problem. You cannot get to freedom by begging for it. You've got to take it. And that means...
Or assert it.
Yeah.
Is how I would prefer to look at it.
That means taking a risk.
It does.
That means being able to say, all right, well, you know what? We'd rather not live in the world that is going to be created by continuing obedience and accepting the idea that that's going to be a tough thing to get away from. That means people are probably going to get arrested in this process. Maybe some of them will get killed in this process. I wish that didn't happen, but it's sort of the way of the world.
Well, it's at least the way of the government.
Yes.
They kill people who don't obey, and I mean that's what they do.
Yes, and we haven't gotten past that as a species yet, so it's going to be an ugly, violence-filled process. I don't want it to be. I'm a peace advocate myself, but the state is a violent agency. It is a monopoly on violence. And when they feel like they are threatened, when they feel like they are being ignored, that people are disobeying their demands, they will lash out. Yes. And they will use as much force as they feel they need to use to take people down. Just yesterday or 2 days ago, I was out in front of the governor's house, and I witnessed the
armed protest?
Was supposed to be armed. There was not so much open carry. I don't know how much concealed carry there was, but they had 3 or 4 times as many police there as they normally did in the previous week. So this was week number 4 of these various different governor's house protests, and it was the lowest turnout for the protesters. So they were down by about, maybe they were like a fourth of the size is what they were previously. So maybe 20-ish
Now,
people.
this latest one was in response to Sununu's vaccination mandate, correct?
Well, the whole thing has just been an ongoing thing after Sununu, the governor here, put in a mask mandate. That was what started them, and the idea was that they were to continue as long as the mandates stay in place. So until the executive orders are, removed, basically. So the mask mandate was the first thing, and then the vaccines are starting. He hasn't mandated the vaccine, but they're getting rid of the religious exemption and mandating the sort of a tracking list of people that received the vaccine.
From what I understand, and again, it all depends upon one's interpretation, and the state is going to interpret it one way, I'm going to interpret another. It sounds like they were taking away the ability of healthcare workers to say no to the vaccine. It didn't seem to me like it was targeting the wider population of New Hampshire.
I'm not sure about the healthcare workers aspect of it. I don't recall that.
That was what I read. But who knows? They'll read it one way. You'll read it one way. I'll read it another way.
Well, what it definitely did was it said that anyone who gets the vaccine cannot opt out of the registry. So normally there's certain there's certain statutes that that say that if you get a vaccine of whatever type of vaccine, you can opt out of being tracked. Now that is not. That's no longer the case for specifically the coronavirus vaccine. So it's still true for the other vaccines that exist. But if you get the coronavirus vaccine in New Hampshire, and I'm sure this is probably true in a bunch of other states, that if you get the coronavirus vaccine, they're saying you cannot opt out. There is not a religious exemption, and you must be put into the centralized vaccinated database, which will be shared with the CDC.
Which amazes me because it seems like the COVID-19 vaccination seems to be the most resisted vaccination that at least that I've seen in my lifetime. Something like 45% of Americans are saying, no, we're not going to get it. And another 26% are like, we're not sure if we're going to get it.
It's that high.
I do have a story about that's somewhere pulled up here, but we're talking right now about children who are being impacted by the coronavirus lockdowns from the United States government and, well, from governments around the world. But we see it here in New Hampshire and the United States. Children.
And they're describing it as substantial increases in children's depression.
And we're going to remember, we're talking about 7 to 11-year-olds. Think about 2 years ago and asking yourself, what would it really take to make an 8-year-old depressed? Well, the United States government has figured it out. They have formulaically put it into action, and they have caused depression to skyrocket among 8-year-olds. When I was 8 years old, depression was the farthest thing from my mind. I wanted to play video games and hang out with friends. But then the U.S. government came along, and they took at least half of those things away from the children.
Yep.
Depression was inevitable.
It's terrifying. And also, being able to walk around and just kind of see other people smiling is, to some extent, it affects a lot of people at a deep level.
That's one of the reasons I think, as silly as they look, the face shields are superior to the face masks.
As far as you can see someone's expressions.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll agree. I'll grant you that. I still don't want to put one of those on.
No, they look silly and they can't possibly work. I mean, they can't. Gravity is a thing.
It's just about obedience. It's just about showing that you are bowing to the so-called experts and these scientists. Well, look, some of these other scientists are saying, hey, your kids are getting pretty effed up here. According to the Foundation for Economic Education, there are other studies which they say here are linking declining mental health with lockdown policy. They've emerged for adolescents and young adults in recent months, but children weren't typically represented. For example, the CDC reported in August that 1 out of 4 individuals between 18 and 24, so your college-age young people, that contemplated suicide during the spring lockdowns.
And suicides did skyrocket during the spring lockdowns. And that was the very beginning of this nonsense.
And things haven't gotten much better, and now they're locking down again. So now we're going to go through round 2 or 3 or whatever round this is, depending on where you live, because some places they just sort of barely came out of the lockdown, and then they immediately went locked back down within 2 weeks after allowing 10 people to go to a restaurant.
And was it the whole point of the lockdown was so that we would not have a second lockdown?
I believe they were saying that, yes.
Yeah, well, they suck at their jobs. But, of course they do. They're bureaucrats.
But at the same time, there were also people who were saying this is going to come back in the fall.
Yes, because
no matter what.
It's the flu, and that's when people get sick with the flu during the fall and winters. Are flu cases really down? Have you looked anything into that? Because I haven't.
I've heard people. I've not looked into it personally, but from what I understand, those numbers are way, way down. Which makes you go, how can that really be? So 1 out of 4 individuals, again, contemplating suicide. These are between the ages of 18 and 24. A recent Harvard study found startling rates of depression in young adults. Adolescent mental health has been particularly hard hit by the lockdowns and related social distancing policies. For example, a 16-year-old boy from Brunswick, Maine, took his life last week after leaving a note saying that he felt locked in his house during the pandemic and separated from his friends due to remote learning. The new university.
The human beings just killed 15 million minks, presumably
That's
to
right.
save just one human life.
Yeah.
Well, we just lost one human life.
Oh, it's okay. It doesn't matter if people kill themselves.
Well, it matters to me.
Well, that's what it matters to me too. But I was saying that because that's what the people who are supporting the lockdowns would say about the suicides, is that they just don't mean as much because people choose suicide. So,
the other people chose depression and suicide for this 16-year-old kid.
Mhm.
He didn't choose to sit in his home and be
true.
isolated from his friends. Other people said, you're going to sit in your house and be isolated from your friends
And he
until
listened
he
to them.
actually killed himself because of it.
Yeah.
That wasn't a choice he made. That was a choice the government made for him.
No doubt.
The state killed this kid.
Oh, absolutely. I don't disagree with you there. However, he did. I'm not blaming him for this, but he did choose to obey.
He did.
Right.
He could have snuck out.
Yep, he could have.
Kids out there contemplating suicide, just sneak out. That's what we did when we were kids.
But the thing is that these people who believe in the lockdowns and are truly these fear-mongering types, people who are either honestly very afraid or are total psychopaths and are really enjoying making people afraid, because it's sort of like the two groups, those people, they look down their noses at suicides. They think that the suicides are lesser people. They must think that. Because, again, if all these methods that they're imposing on us are to, quote, save one life, well, we already know there's all these people killing themselves. So they brush those people aside. And they say, oh, well, those lives aren't as important as these lives. The lives of
Suicide lives matter.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what else to say.
Yeah, no, I agree with you.
It's tragic that we've even gotten to this point where we're trying to figure out the metrics of how people are arguing which lives are more valuable than others.
They won't come out and say it.
Well, I will.
That's what they
the
mean.
life of this 16-year-old kid in Maine is more valuable, more important than the life of the 86-year-old in the nursing home.
Mm-hmm.
I will gladly say that. Do you agree? Am I way off the base here? I imagine a lot of people are going to be disagree since I just said I don't care if their gam-gam dies or whatever. Let me know.
Gam-gam. Is that what you called your grandmother?
No.
Oh, okay.
It's just first
Is
thing
that a
that popped in
Southern
my
thing?
head.
Okay.
855-450-3733, 855-450-FREE, as in free yourself of this nonsense.
Having taken her father's throne, Sarah Calhoun has fallen out with one of her best allies, and her brother Nathaniel heads into Imperial Philadelphia with a reckless plan. Her uncle Thomas, armed with new powers and new allies, aims to remove Sarah from her throne and from the world of the living. To survive, and to gain the strength she needs to fight an impossible war, Sarah must unite the Mound Builder Kings to enact an ancient rite that will propel her beyond mortality. Servant Daughter by T.J. Butler is the newest entry in the Dragon Award-winning Witchy War series from Baen Books at BaenBooks.com.
Every year, over 1 million fires burn in America. Fortunately, firefighters are on the job, saving life and property, and you can be a part of it. 7 out of 10 firefighters and emergency responders are volunteers. There's no typical firefighter. Anyone can volunteer to serve their community. Volunteering as a first responder is really about having the heart and drive to make a difference where it's needed most. Your community needs you. Are you ready to answer the call? Learn more and find local volunteer opportunities at makemeafirefighter.org.
I'm a little obsessed with My Magic Mud. Several years ago, I met Jessica Armand, the founder and CEO of My Magic Mud, and I didn't even know my teeth were coffee stained. A week's worth of use convinced me, and now I use it every 3 or 4 days. It's clinically proven to whiten teeth, and I think it cleans better too. My Magic Mud's available at most local health food stores, Sprouts, Natural Grocers, CVS, Walmart's Natural Beauty Aisle, but I can get it for you for 20% off with coupon code FTL20 at MyMagicMud.com. FTL20 MyMagicMud.com.
What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Stamps.com brings the post office and UPS shipping right to your computer. Go to Stamps.com to start a 4-week trial, plus free postage and a digital scale with promo code FOX. That's Stamps.com. Click on the microphone at the top of the page and type in FOX.
He's out. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. The nation's top law enforcement official is leaving the White House.
President Trump tweeting just had a very nice meeting with Attorney General Bill Barr at the White House. Our relationship has been a very good one. He has done an outstanding job. As per letter, Bill will be leaving just before Christmas to spend the holidays with his family. Deputy Attorney General Jeff Rosen, an outstanding person, will become acting Attorney General. The president has been openly feuding with Barr after he concluded that the Department of Justice has not seen fraud on a scale that could have affected a different outcome in the presidential election. At the White House, John Decker, Fox News.
It's official. California's 55 electoral votes putting President-elect Biden over the top.
Joseph R. Biden of Delaware, a Democrat. Ayes 55. Noes 0.
Confirming the Biden victory in last month's election, Biden's expected to speak later this hour. An excerpt released earlier, he's expected to say there is urgent work in front of all of us, getting the pandemic under control to getting the nation vaccinated against this virus. The first doses of the Pfizer vaccine for COVID-19 are being distributed across the country as the nation surpasses 300,000 deaths. Another COVID-19 relief package on the table is being presented by Republicans and Democrats in the House and Senate. One bill would provide $748 billion in aid for small businesses and vaccine distribution.
Basically what it does, it takes care of those who are unemployed. In an emergency, if you're unemployed, that's an emergency and you're running out of your unemployment check. We have 13 weeks or 16 weeks at $300 a week for that. Food assistance. We have nutrition assistance, food assistance.
West Virginia Democrat Joe Manchin, the second $160 billion package would include aid for state and local governments and create a temporary liability shield from COVID-related lawsuits. America is listening to Fox News.
2020 has already reshaped how we work, and it's almost over. Businesses across the globe are challenged to be their most efficient, which means every hire is critical. Indeed is here to help. Indeed helps you find quality candidates quickly, so you can focus on hiring the person you need to keep your business going. Unlike other sites, Indeed gives you full control and payment flexibility over your hiring. You only pay for what you need, can pause your account at any time, and there are no long-term contracts. And now, Indeed's new way of matching you with candidates instantly delivers a short list of quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job criteria that you can contact the moment you sponsor a job, making Indeed the only job site that can move as fast as you do. Right now, Indeed is offering a free $75 credit to boost your job post, which means more quality candidates will see it fast. Get started on Indeed.com/Fox. Offer valid through December 31st. Terms and conditions apply.
Indoor dining in New York City is on hold again.
Restaurants are still permitted to have takeaway, delivery, and can provide outdoor dining. That means customers can be served at street-side tables as well as in temporary structures. An industry group, the New York Hospitality Alliance, issued a statement that read in part, Governor Cuomo's announcement to once again shut down indoor dining in New York City is at odds with the state's own data, adding it will be the last straw for countless more restaurants and jobs. Making the situation worse is the weather. Rain today is keeping diners away, and later this week, heavy snow is in the forecast. In New York, David Lee Miller, Fox News.
Britain's health secretary says London and its surrounding areas will be placed under the highest level of coronavirus restrictions starting Wednesday.
I'm grateful to have heard from some of our satellite listeners recently. I appreciate knowing that people are out there who like what we do and are willing to support it financially. LRN.FM's free-to-air satellite feeds blanket most of 2 continents. It was my goal to put our channel there so people without internet could receive our programs and feed pirate radio stations. We started a fundraiser on Patreon a few years ago to back the satellite channels. I recently announced that I was considering canceling the feeds, and donations increased from 15 to 20% of our costs, which are around $1,000 per month. That's a good start, and to incentivize more contributions, the Shire Free Church will be matching every dollar. Can we reach $500 per month? With your help, we can. You can join our satellite fundraiser for just $2 a month at fund.lrn.fm. If we raise enough to keep both of the channels on the air, awesome. If we raise more, I'll add more channels. If not, we can shut them down and go internet only. It's up to you. Thank you for your support. fund.lrn.fm.
Jode Cress Beckman. From claim jumpers to politicians to coyotes, the straight shooter that shook up the presidential race is taking them all on and licking them good.
Hello, Jode.
Who and what's behind these potato monkey shines?
Well, these scientists are trying to mass-produce potatoes that are more resistant to disease, but they're doing so in potentially dangerous ways that alter their DNA.
Tater disease, what brung us Irish.
Right.
You give a tater man's constitution, you can bet he's coming to play old Joe to call.
Yes, well, nature's revenge could come in the form of disease
now you listen
or
to
allergens.
me, taters. You gave a mind of a tater.
Jode, please, let me make my point.
You're tater-minded and you're looking to infiltrate old Joe's cabin, but you're too late.
No.
Now you get out, or I'll slice your tater heart out and fry it up on my grill.
Okay, Jode.
Now, y'all stay close here. Gonna have my jug band back here, and if Jasper don't let me strum the washboard, we're gonna resort to cutting.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live, talk radio where you can take control of the airwaves. 855-450-3733. With you tonight is Ariane Ian, and we're talking about this 16-year-old kid in Maine that the government murdered because of their lockdowns and his unwillingness to disobey the authorities because they would have murdered him if he disobeyed, until he finally had enough sitting inside his home and actually wrote in his suicide note that the reason he was killing himself was because of the isolation caused by the COVID-19 lockdowns executed by the government of Maine.
Because he couldn't see his friends.
They are responsible for his death, and I hope they understand that. But I don't think they care. They didn't care. Cuomo didn't care about the elderly people that he killed in the nursing homes. Or
look, you got to break a few eggs to make an omelet.
You do. I mean, that's the whole concept behind herd immunity, right? Is that we got to let this disease, this deadly disease that's killing 4 out of every 10,000 people or whatever the number is, we've got to let it run its course because then it'll have run its course. Sure, some people will die, but we'll be done with it. We can go back to our normal lives. That was the idea that I generally supported. But no, the government came along and said, no, we can't let that happen. We have to try to interfere with this natural process of developing an immunity to this new disease, and we have to disrupt your lives and cause 16-year-olds to kill themselves because that's preferable, right? Wouldn't we rather have 16-year-olds killing themselves in despair and depression?
No, it's horrifying.
It is.
And that's a 16-year-old who has known the difference between 2019 and 2020. They had the experience of life prior to and life during. But younger people aren't going to have that experience, especially if this goes on, right? So, and it sounds like it. We've got a clip from Bill Gates here. If we want, we can play it later, where he's talking about how, prepare for social distancing and masks and all this crap all the way through 2022.
I don't believe it will happen. I really don't believe humans will put up with it through 2022. I'm surprised it's been put up with this long.
Yeah, it's been almost an entire year, Arya.
I know, but the mask mandates.
What do you think they're going to just tear them off when they're going to be like, okay, it's March. Now we've had enough of this after they've been institutionalized for an entire year? That's what this is. It's institutionalization.
But humans have a remarkable tolerance for pain in short bursts. It's prolonged pain that gets human beings.
But this isn't pain to them. To them, it's an inconvenience.
It is uncomfortable.
It is
that
uncomfortable.
Is a level of pain. It may not physically hurt.
But look, they're being propagandized about it. It's like, hey, this may be an inconvenience for you, okay? It's an inconvenience to have to put on a mask before you go everywhere. But you know what? If you love old people
more than you love 16-year-old kids,
then you will do what we say. And if you don't do what we say, you will be ostracized. You will be told that you are a bad person, a terrorist, a manslaughterer. There's all kinds of negativity out there surrounding the people that don't wear masks.
We've been called this crap anyway. So
well,
maybe that's why we're not concerned about people's reactions to it. It's like, okay, I've already heard way worse, dude.
I'm already used to being a pariah and somebody that people don't like because I'm an activist.
Yeah.
And there's a bunch of people out there that will put masks on who don't want to because they're just afraid, not of necessarily what the government might do to them, but that's a factor, but also afraid of what their neighbors will say to them and what their neighbors will think of them and what their customers will think of them and if their customers will ever come back again.
Well, the customers aren't coming back now, evidently.
Yeah. Well, there's still a subset of those people who will come back or who are trying to go out and shop, and they'll be upset if they see people. So, for instance, Pho Keene Great, which is the local pho noodle place here in Keene, downtown Keene, New Hampshire, she's had multiple Yelp reviews from, let's call them Karens, who come in there and get very upset about the fact that she's not wearing a mask behind the counter.
Do they leave?
Some of them did. So one guy claimed, or gal, or whoever it was, claimed that they threw their food out.
Why?
Because the cook wasn't wearing a mask.
The food is cooked. It kills viruses and bacteria. Right. I know this as someone who works in food.
Yeah.
That's the point of cooking it.
Well, they felt like they should throw it away to be extra safe.
I'm just saying, your cook not wearing a mask is not the problem, okay? If this is a deadly disease that is so easily spread, your server not wearing a mask could be a problem, but the cook,
if it's a
that's
deadly
not a
disease
problem.
you're afraid of, you shouldn't be going out to eat.
Also an excellent point.
You shouldn't be going out to get takeout.
Are you so selfish that you're going out to eat in the middle of a pandemic that you would believe to be consisting of a deadly disease because you're so lazy to sit at home and cook?
So here's more from this story from the Foundation of Economic Education. So there's an article this week in the New York Times. So we're talking about the numbers of young people they've got serious mental health problems because of the various different lockdown procedures.
Let's also not neglect the reality that mental health issues among younger people has been just steadily increasing over the last several decades, to the extent that I don't know anyone under the age of 25 who doesn't claim to have just a cornucopia of mental health issues. I mean, if you go to Twitter and look on these people's profile, it's just one mental illness after the other.
Anxiety, depression.
Yeah. Most of which are definitively all within their heads, but probably not real, even the extent to which the disease exists.
An article in the New York Times acknowledged the loneliness that children, so now we're talking about children here, feel this year, but echoed a sense of inevitability, describing the experience of a 2-year-old who, upon encountering others, says, "Uh-oh, people."
No way.
This is the New York Times reporting on this.
So this 2-year-old encounters people.
Yeah.
And immediately thinks,
feels bad.
Uh-oh.
Danger.
People.
Yeah, this is a danger. Got to stay away.
I hope that's only one 2-year-old. Imagine the level of brainwashing these parents must have done to this 2-year-old child to do this.
Right. To instruct their children that they have to stay away from all other humans because danger. You know, it used to be bad, right? When we were growing up in the 80s and the 90s, they would say stranger danger.
Right,
remember?
Because they might be a kidnapper or something.
No, don't help that man. He's lost his puppy. He's lying to you. He's going to, take you in the back of a van and then chop you up into little pieces. Don't do it, kids. It was like there was always some sort of lurker in the nearby bushes getting ready to jump out and get you. Well, now absolutely everyone is a threat, including grandmother, including, some stranger's dog, or
including
whatever.
your own parents, evidently. Yeah. I would point out, though, that with the kidnapping, stranger danger thing, the number one best advice parents can give their children without fear-mongering is just to point out to them that, hey, an adult will never approach a child to ask for help if they actually need help.
Yes.
They will always approach another adult.
Yeah.
So if an adult approaches a child for help, it's automatically...
Something's wrong.
Yeah. So that's the best piece of advice you can give your kids to actually instill in them, a sense of, hey, something's wrong here and I need to escape this situation without actually making them terrified of other human beings.
Sure. And the reality of it is somebody in, real life who is not your... who the kids don't know is actually less of a danger than somebody that they do know. So they're much more at risk from like an uncle or a grandparent or something like that who is a sicko than they are of like some random guy jumping out of a van on the side of the road. Way more at risk from somebody that they know.
But evidently they're most at risk from the United States government and its various state governments that are imposing these lockdowns that are leading them to commit suicides and the brainwashing of their parents to manage to convince this 2-year-old that people, just all people in general, are a threat to them.
People. The Times explains that she's, quote, part of a generation living in a particular new type of bubble, the one without other children. They are the toddlers.
That's horrifying.
Yes, it is.
These people are going to be messed up.
That's what I'm saying. We don't even know the half of how messed up they're going to be. They're the toddlers of COVID-19. Gone for her and many peers are the play dates, music classes, birthday parties, the serendipity of the sandbox or the side-by-side flyby on adjacent swing sets. Yeah, remember all those fun things you did as a kid? They're not doing those now. While the Times rightly points
they are
out...
occasionally here in Keene, New Hampshire.
I
drive playground by a school like every day on my way to work, and there's always kids out there.
Oh, good. They finally reopened the playgrounds,
Yeah.
huh? Because during the lockdown, they'd closed them down, and they were sending parking forcers there to stop people. And that's what, in Concord, New Hampshire, they actually sent cops out to stop parents from bringing their kids to the playground.
As far as I know, they never did that to this particular school.
That's
and
good.
I think this particular school was closed during the lockdown anyway. But yeah, every day I drive by there's kids out there in their jackets and they're playing and swinging and playing on the slide or
Do they
whatever
all
it
have
is
masks
kids do.
on?
They do not.
Okay. Is this a private school?
I think so.
Okay, interesting. Well, that's refreshing, I got to say.
It's right there by the Catholic Church. So it may be church run. And maybe they have some sort of exemption, or maybe the government just doesn't want to fight them about it. I don't know.
If you're a parent out there and you've experienced some of this stuff and you want to comment what you've observed with other parents, for instance, feel free to join us here at 855-450 free.
Or if you've traumatized your kids to the point where they see strangers and say, uh-oh, people, give us a call. Let us know what in the hell you think justifies that. 855-450 free, as in Free Talk Live.
Bitcoin.com is the best source for learning about cryptocurrency. Go there now, click on Get Started at the top of the page. Once you do that, you'll find a cornucopia of information, neatly organized for your needs. If you're a knowledgeable crypto user, check out news.bitcoin.com where you can get the latest headlines. Bitcoin.com is your source for buying cryptocurrency, getting a wallet app, mining, trading, and all the latest cryptocurrency news, all on a slick and easy-to-use website. All put together by the best minds in the business to teach you about cryptocurrency. Bitcoin.com. Divvy's been a pretty good investment for Free Talk Live. Their ad campaign started in September 2019, and from mid-March to mid-July, the values soared by 10 times. It's not too late. Divvy's new wallet hasn't even released yet, and other things are happening that I can't even say on the radio. If you want to invest and potentially do well, go to DivvyProject.org. I can tell you that FTL is deepening its partnership with the guys from DivvyProject.org. Past performance is not an indication of future profit. DivvyProject.org. DIVI Project.org.
July 25th, we adopted April. She's a purebred, orange and white Brittany. But when she started scratching like crazy, I said to John, it's got to be her food. You know, what you put into a dog is what you get out. We heard this radio commercial, and this woman was so excited about Dinovite, DINOVITE.com. I said to John, I'm getting them. So the Dinovite comes, and I thought, a light bulb moment. She loves her dog food. She always leaves a little bit in her bowl. So we added a huge scoop of Dinovite in it, and then we swished it around like gravy. She dove into that bowl. She licked it clean. She loved it. So that's the routine. April gets Dinovite for dessert. Her coat is now soft. It's silky. Dinovite is nutrition. She even walks like a little princess.
You won't believe how happy your dog will be.
On Dinovite, she's Little Miss Hollywood. DINOVITE.com.
The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com. Tired of cancel culture? Sick of mega tech corporations holding an axe over your head? Join the LRN.FM Matrix chat server. It's self-hosted, so no one else can tell us what to do or say. Don't like the existing channels? You can make your own. You can even connect into some of our channels from other Matrix servers. It's federated. For the full LRN.FM Matrix experience, though, you should join our server via the step-by-step instructions at chat.lrn.fm. Chat.lrn.fm.
There are basically two types of advertising, direct response and branding. Radio's great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer-term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
Live video of our key New Hampshire-based shows is streamed on DLive. Please follow and share at dlive.lrn.fm. That's dlive.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live, talk radio that you control. You can call in and talk about anything that's on your mind. 855-450-3733, 855-450-FREE, as in freedom. With you tonight, it's Arya.
And Ian.
And you've been hearing us talk about Divvy here on Free Talk Live for about a year, and maybe you want to set up one of their easy-to-deploy masternodes or stake Divvy so that you can begin earning Divvy right now. Well, Ian has actually set up a Divvy masternode, and it was super easy. Staking was even easier. We're not investment advisors here on FTL, but we think you'll be impressed with your earning potential with Divvy as compared to traditional investment vehicles. Go to divvyproject.org and get started. You can get Divvy at several exchanges or directly from the Divvy team. And if you need help, there's a link to their Telegram channel right on the front page at divvyproject.org, diviproject.org. And I have to make a quick correction to something I said earlier regarding the numbers of people, of Americans who said they wouldn't get vaccinated. Is actually 19% who said they wouldn't get vaccinated and another 26% who are unsure. Yahoo lumped these together as one statistic of people who either would not get vaccinated or were not sure. And the way they spaced it out later makes it look kind of like it's 45 plus 26% when really it's 19 plus 26%. So yeah, still almost 1 in 5 Americans say that they won't get vaccinated. And I think that's encouraging. Numbers are down, of course, but we'll get into that later. Right now, we're talking about how kids are being probably permanently damaged by COVID-19 because we know that isolation damages human beings, especially when they're younger. Kids who grow up, not surrounded by love and hugs and friends.
It affects them.
Yeah, they become the kind of serial killers who murder children, who murder pets in their youth.
And not all of them. I mean, you're not guaranteed to become a serial killer if you don't have your parents love you as you're growing up. But it may cause other problems like depression. Like being unable to feel like you can make a connection with another human being. So it might not result in you, tearing the legs off of small animals.
I would certainly hope not.
It may just result in you being incredibly sad and without any kind of modicum of being able to connect with other people for your life.
Well, before we get back into this article, let's go to the phones. We've got James calling from Florida. James, you're on Free Talk Live.
Well, hi, thank you. Can you guys hear me just fine, right?
Huh? I'm sorry?
Oh, can you hear me just fine?
You're fine. What's on your mind?
Okay, thanks. Okay, here's the thing. I'm Ian. I heard you said the word Karen, right? And here's the thing I need to understand about the word. Supposedly, a Karen, would that be someone that wants to force someone to wear a mask or else, right?
Well, it's funny. It depends on who you ask, because the people who are in favor of the mandatory masks call the people who are against masks Karens. So it just depends. Usually a Karen is somebody who, the definition as I understand it, is somebody who feels entitled and will complain to a manager, basically, sort of person about something they feel like they're entitled to.
A Karen is a snitch.
In a lot of cases, yeah, absolutely.
All right, because I'm going over here on the internet, and I type in, for example, Karen tells me to wear a mask. But when I go to videos, all the videos are the opposite of what I type.
Yeah.
They're like the people that don't want to wear that garbage, they're the ones that be called Karen, man.
That's right.
So that kind of upsets. And the reason why I bring it up is because I heard you saying it, and you know that guy I keep telling you about named Todd Schnitt, that fake guy, we know what I'm talking about,
Todd
right?
Schnitt, the talk show host?
Oh, yeah. Do you remember that video that you guys had that you talked about, right? It was the video where that lady went into the store and she was followed outside by one of those mask wearers. Remember, they were harassing her, right?
I've seen those videos. Yeah, I don't remember which one you're talking about.
That is straight up Karen behavior, though. A Karen is someone who stalks someone out of a store and confronts them and starts yelling at them in the parking lot.
Right, but guess who? That guy, Todd Schnitt, played the video. Well, he played the sound on his show, right? And guess whose side he shows?
Oh, he's probably in favor of masks.
Yes, and he was calling the lady that was defending herself from those nuts. he called her the Karen, man.
Yeah.
And that was the first time that I ever heard him. Look, that guy, I'm sorry, but he's dangerous. And this guy, I don't think he's with us, man. This guy is like...
he's definitely not with us.
the opposite of freedom.
He's a right-wing talk show host.
Oh, and real quick, guys, about, I think it was the 20th of last month, November 20th, I believe, or I think it was November 20th, on the show of Alex Jones, the guy Owen was hosting, and a guy called in talking about Todd Schnitt, and he showed the video, a picture of the guy, and he said, yeah, this guy looks like someone that would jump ship just to be, so the Democrats won't be coming after him next year, you know. And it's crazy, man. Owen called him out, man. He said he looks, well, no, he didn't say that, but to me, the guy looks totally slimy. So I think
he is a slime ball. I've actually met him in real life. I debated. I was once upon a time there was an event called the Talkers New Media Seminar. Talkers Magazine put it on once a year. It got canceled this year, so it had been going on for like 20 years prior to this year. But Schnitt was there one year, and they used to do an event called the Talk Rumble, where they would invite 8 or 9 talk show hosts on the stage, and they invited me up there one year, and and Todd Schnitt was on the stage along with like Tom Hartman and several other people, and we got into it about immigration, and he's a total slime ball.
That's unfortunate. James, thank you so much for the call.
And he looks like one. A total slime ball. Yeah.
I've never heard of him prior to tonight.
He looks like your stereotypical fat DJ, basically. And he talks like he's got, constant puke. He's got the constant puke mode.
It's interesting how the word Karen has been corrupted in this way to the extent that it's applying to people who are minding their own business. According to Wikipedia, Karen is a pejorative term for someone believing themselves to be entitled or demanding beyond the scope of what is normal.
Okay, but so from their perspective, this does match Karen. Okay, so from their perspective, this is the new normal. And so therefore, somebody who doesn't have a mask on...
But the new normal is beyond the scope of what is normal.
No. They believe that the new normal is normal. And by all evidence... they're surrounded by people who believe in that, right? Because 95% of the people I go, when I'm at the grocery store are wearing a mask. So if from their perspective, they are part of what is normal, if they see you and you're somebody who doesn't have a mask on, well, by default, you are somebody who, from their perspective, feels like you're entitled to just go around without a mask on. So therefore, okay. You're a Karen from their perspective. If you say something about it, right? Because if you just go around without a mask on, you don't say anything about it, or you don't stand up for yourself or whatever, right? Like if somebody confronts you and you sheepishly just put a mask on, then you're not a Karen to their mind. But if you do stand up for yourself and you say, well, it's my right, it's my face, I'll do what I want, or whatever it is that you say back to them, well, then to them, you're a Karen.
No one has yet confronted me about a mask, but I still have the one line that I can't wait to say about them. Like, look, I'm a trans person. I spent most of my life being forced to wear a mask. You're not going to make me wear one now.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see someone's reaction to that. Yeah, right. Yeah. Because the liberals who are all about this mask nonsense. Sure. Okay, let's confront this reality for a second here. So I can finally show my face as I want it to be to the world, and you're telling me I can't? Yep. Is that really a fight they want to take?
The liberals are making the conservatives look good right now.
How so?
Because more of the conservatives they're on the right side of this particular issue. They're against the masks.
But are they against the masks because they're actually, against the dehumanization aspects of it and the disconnects that it's causing us to feel from one another?
I think some of them are.
Or is it simply because the Democrats are in support of the mask and they're anti-Democrats?
No, because Trump was also pro-mask, just not as pro-mask.
Was he?
Yeah, he wore one on multiple occasions.
I don't recall that. I remember him putting up some sort of a stink and trying to go into hospitals and stuff without one, but I don't remember all the details. It's been a wild year.
Maxwell, she was scratching and losing some hair. My vet, she says, oh, he must be allergic to chicken. Another vet said, eat the drain. Third vet said, it's the weather. Then somebody said, DINOVITE.com. It took 2 weeks, and the dog stopped itching, the hair stopped falling out. The Dinovite is a big part of Maxwell's diet.
You get some Dinovite, how happy your dog will be.
DINOVITE.com.
What if the United States and the Soviet Union had fought on land, sea, air, and the astral plane, struggled for dominion across parallel dimensions, or on the surface of the moon? What wonders would have been unveiled? What terrors would have haunted mankind from those dark and dismal dimensions? Come closer, peer through a glass darkly, and discover the horrifying alternative visions of World War III from some of today's greatest minds in science fiction, fantasy, and horror. Weird World War III. Available now from Baen Books at baenbooks.com.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agrist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar, and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers. And some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agrist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any skullduggery. So go with agristhosting.com. Have a WordPress or blog site, but you're not satisfied with performance or uptime? Or just want raw hosting? Want to pay with Bitcoin? Agrist Hosting specializes in high-performance hosting with personalized service. Go to agristhosting.com and click on the button that says Get Hosted. That's agristhosting.com.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in Liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get one free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
We have some good news. The indictments against Ross Ulbricht in the District of Maryland were dismissed with prejudice, meaning they can never be refiled. This is especially good because those indictments contain the only charge ever made that Ross engaged in murder for hire. This was a serious allegation that Ross Ulbricht denies. It was never prosecuted or ruled on by a jury, but was trumpeted by the federal government and the media as if it were proven fact. The Maryland court held these indictments for almost 5 years, poisoning Ross's case and leaving him under a cloud of unproven allegations. As explained in Ross's appeal to the Supreme Court, the fact that the judge used these allegations to give Ross a draconian sentence of double life without parole violated his Sixth Amendment right to a jury trial. Judges are required to issue sentences based on convictions decided by a jury, not unproven allegations never even charged at trial. Although this is a positive development, the dropped indictment will not set Ross free. Now, a presidential pardon is Ross's only hope of freedom. Sign the petition at freeross.org. freeross.org.
You're listening to the best liberty-oriented audio streamed around the clock, on the air, and online. This is the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
It's Free Talk Live. As always, talk radio you control. 855-450-3733 is the toll-free number. You can call in and talk about anything that's on your mind. That's 855-450-FREE, as in freedom. With you tonight is Aria and Ian, and I want to tell you about AnyPay.com because AnyPay 2.0 is here.
It's AnyPayInc.com.
What did I say?
AnyPay.com.
Okay, AnyPayInc.com. Sorry about that. And crypto payments are now faster than ever. If you're using the Edge wallet, handcashbitcoin.com, or Dash wallets, that is, then your experience will be smooth, but some wallets aren't ready for the impressive new technology. These wallet programmers need to hear from you, the wallet users. Visit AnyPayInc.com/upgrade to learn why some popular wallets are incompatible with AnyPay 2.0. And reach out to the wallet programmers and encourage them to make payments perfect at anypayinc.com/upgrade. Now, one of the best, I think the Edge wallet is probably the most widely used wallet here. I don't understand the purpose of currency-specific wallets.
Well, some people are fanatics. So, they believe that their crypto is the one true crypto. and that they want to use just that one crypto.
I guess so. But I'm looking at this as from the perspective of someone who is not I mean, if I had to pick one, it would be Monero, but Monero doesn't work with AnyPay anyway because Monero doesn't really work with anything.
Well, that's not true. There are some wallets that are supporting Monero now. Edge Wallet does support Monero.
Sure.
Exodus Wallet does support Monero. But AnyPay doesn't yet support Monero, although they have talked about it. It's just it's harder to implement Monero because it's a different system entirely than all of the Bitcoin-based ones. It was actually created from scratch, from what I understand, by maybe another anonymous creator, it seems like. No one knows who created Monero either.
Well, there's linguistic evidence to suggest that it was Satoshi Nakamoto who created Monero as well.
Or somebody who wanted it to sound like Satoshi Nakamoto.
It's not hard to mimic someone's writing style if that's what you want to do. But anyway, you're not wrong. The headquarters in Portsmouth for AnyPay is filled with pro Monero signs and stickers.
Yeah,
I mean, I think they probably have more Monero stuff than they do anything else.
Yeah, you're right.
And I love that about them. I hope to see Monero one day on it, but for now, you got Bitcoin Cash, you got Litecoin. I don't think anyone's ever used Litecoin here, though. Bitcoin SV, Dash, even Bitcoin, if the fees are low enough and it's worth it to you.
I got to say, the Hand Cash, which is the SV, Bitcoin SV wallet, is really slick.
It is.
I've used it, and it is sort of like if Edge Wallet's ever having an issue, and sometimes it does, because it relies on third-party servers Edge has like Electrum servers or whatever that it uses to be able to send transactions without having to have the whole blockchain on your phone, which would be impossible.
Right.
And so sometimes those things go down. Very rarely, but it does happen. So if I ever have myself, if ever I'm caught in a pinch, I always just open up Hand Cash because I've got a balance of some Bitcoin SV there, and I pay with that, and it's very, very reliable, and it's fast. So.
It is, and it's very similar in design to Cash App. I think they borrowed a lot of the UI elements from Cash App, allowing, I think my Hand Cash tag, I don't know what they call them, is just
the username
#Aria, which is
that's sweet.
Yeah, it's super hard to get one of those. So I mean, if you're going to sign up for Hand Cash and use Bitcoin SV, do it now so that you can go ahead and get your username locked down.
Yeah, it's a pretty nice little wallet, and because they don't have, like with Edge Wallet, I can have 15 or whatever different currencies in there, but that might mean it'll take a little longer to boot up, right?
True.
So. There are some ups and downs.
Also increases risk of problems. If you're trying to create a wallet that's holding 15, 20 different cryptocurrencies.
There's a lot of code there. Yeah.
All kinds of mistakes can happen.
But Edge is also open source.
It is.
And
that's why it's compatible with AnyPay now.
Yes, correct.
Or with AnyPay 2.0 rather.
That's right. Yeah, we literally paid a programmer to go in and do what needed to be done. Not that Edge would have opposed doing it. It's just if we wanted it done the quickest, we could just do it. And then they merged the changes because they supported it, and boom, there it is.
It's awesome. Yep. Cryptocurrency is an awesome community, man.
Sure is.
We've got Dan on Nebraska. Dan, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hello?
Are you with us?
All right. So, yes, I'm with you guys.
All right. What's on your mind?
All right. Well, first off, I guess the thing that I was going to say is, I think it was Ian earlier in the show said something like that. The people who support masks are like trying to ostracize the people who don't wear them.
Some are.
And
I watched a girl get called the C word at a store recently simply because she forgot her mask in her car. It wasn't that she was anti-mask. It wasn't that she refused to wear one. She just forgot it in her car.
Who called her that? Another customer?
I can't reveal that.
You don't even.
So don't tell me that people aren't being ostracized. I've seen this.
Yeah, absolutely. I had it happen to me last week for the first time. Now it was just the first time, but I've spoken with women that have had it happen multiple times to them this year. So I think that people who are willing to say something to another person are more willing to say it to a woman who tends to be, maybe a little weaker, and they might not carry themselves as confidently or whatever, or maybe whoever it is that's saying it feels like they can dominate a woman. But I've definitely seen more reports coming in from females who are not wearing masks that are being harassed about it than men.
All right. Well, what I was going to say is that I've literally heard on Free Talk Live before that ostracism is actually like a libertarian kosher way of like dealing with like people that are making it hard for like a society to live.
So ostracism is a completely it's a completely voluntary means to punish another human being. That doesn't mean that I support it. But for me personally, in all but the most extreme circumstances, I generally will practice forgiveness.
Yeah, we didn't even ostracize Christopher Cantwell.
He's
an
didn't.
actual Nazi.
You and I didn't, but a lot of people did, right? So, like, my level of tolerance is much higher as far as, and yours is as well, Aria, than the average person or the average libertarian even. I've been ostracized because I would not join in ostracism. Because I would not join in ostracism of someone like Christopher Cantwell or of somebody like JP, one of the controversial cop block people here in, or now he calls it New England Cop Chasers. But anyway, there's certain people who rub others the wrong way because in the case of Chris Cantwell, he's a Nazi, and I don't support that. But that doesn't mean that I'm going to ostracize him. I'd rather show love and forgiveness and try to bring that person back to some level of sanity and being able to connect with other people. And I don't think that they get that by having everybody shut them out. I think they're probably more likely to become more radicalized if they're being shut out. So while I support your freedom to ostracize, I personally don't engage in that behavior most of the time.
That's generally my perspective on it as well. I think ostracism, if the case is justified, will generally solve the problem. I would also try to appeal to these people, point out to them that, hey, it's not justified in this particular case, but I mean, I recognize their right to do it.
Yep, absolutely.
Frankly, I don't see how you guys don't know how it's entitled to not be wearing a mask when you're putting everyone else's lives in danger.
How am I putting anyone's lives in danger?
Hold on, are you laughing?
I'm not laughing. I'm not
okay.
laughing.
But
you are laughing.
How am I putting anyone's life in danger?
Well, you're spreading the disease. Or
what disease? I don't have a disease.
You might not know it.
Didn't the CDC recently say that asymptomatic people can't spread COVID-19?
Well, if that was true, how have we gotten to this point where it's been spread so much? Like, I don't think that we've gotten to 300,000 deaths by people only spreading it who knew they had it.
I can tell you exactly how we got to this point. It's because we forced people to wear masks. They then touched those masks all the time, thinking that they were, keeping people from getting sick when they had, some sort of actual sickness. And then they went on to touch doorknobs and drink cooler openings. And, everything that other people interacted with.
You think that the masks are the reason that we have so many cases?
Yes. Have you ever watched anyone wearing a mask? They touch these things constantly, dude. They're right in front of their faces, being kept at human body temperature, and they're literally breathing germs directly into them, keeping them warm, incubating them, touching their mask, and then spreading them over to every surface they touch.
All the people who are wearing the masks, almost all of them, probably 99.9% of them, have no idea how to actually properly, medically, safely wear a mask. They don't. They're just doing it because they were told to, and they're constantly readjusting it, dude. And the whole idea that you have some sort of right to walk around and not encounter any chance of contracting a disease is absolutely ridiculous.
It is, because, you could get the cold from someone. Right. Are you going to accuse them of killing someone because 1 in every 10 billion people die of the cold or whatever?
Or the flu.
This is absurd,
or whatever, TB.
But the number one thing I would suggest you do is just watch people sometime as they go through Walmart or whatever wearing a mask. You're going to be horrified by what you actually see.
Attention business owners body slammed by overwhelming debt. If your business is in trouble, hassled by creditors, if you're frustrated, finally fed up with big business bailouts while your business has been left for dead, please listen close. There's a brand new fast-track bankruptcy. Some have even called it the biggest small business bailout in American history. Designed for individuals and their businesses. And look, almost no one knows about this yet. My attorney wasn't even aware of it. The truth is, beating the system has never been easy because it's rigged in a sense against the little guy. But here's the jaw-dropping news nobody's talking about. They've literally just changed the system so that you can beat it, but only if you understand how the new game has to be played. Find out if you qualify at pocketsoflight.com. This government-backed small business repair program is still legal, but may not be renewed after the election. Fight back fairly, fight back ethically at pocketsoflight.com.
trading involves financial risk and is not suitable for all investors. Past results do not guarantee future performance.
Stock market have you nervous with all the massive fluctuations? With the hope for a COVID vaccine on the rise, shifting political landscape, and the election at an end, it's virtually impossible to guess what will happen next. With Vantage Point, you don't have to. Text MONEY to 411-411 to find out how our technology can forecast market trends up to 3 days in advance with incredible accuracy. Text MONEY to 411-411 to get what you need to stay ahead of market trends and find explosive moves before they happen. Vantage Point's patented technology analyzes huge quantities of global data in seconds. Stop guessing. Start predicting trends 72 hours in advance. Text MONEY to 411-411 and experience Vantage Point for free. Text MONEY to 411-411 so you can protect and grow your capital now. Don't wait. Text MONEY to 411-411.
Go to VantagePointSoftware.com for terms, conditions, and privacy policy.
Join liberty-minded voluntarists, anarchists, and libertarians from June 28th through July 4th for ForkFest 2021 at Rogers Campground in the beautiful White Mountains of New Hampshire. ForkFest happens the week after the Porcupine Freedom Festival, and ForkFest is decentralized, which means no one is in charge. That also means there's no ticket cost. Just reserve your camping, RV site, or motel room with Rogers Campground for June 28th through July 4th. Where better to celebrate Independence Day than around other freedom-loving activists in the Shire? You can relax and enjoy the camaraderie of like-minded people, or you can create whatever experience or event you'd like others to have. If you're planning an event for ForkFest, be sure to let others know in advance. You can connect with fellow ForkFesters via the unofficial Telegram chat or the ForkFest forum. Links to those are on the unofficial website, forkfest.party. Mark your calendar for June 28th through July 4th, 2021. We'll see you at forkfest.party. So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM. Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you're helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at Bitcoin.com. That's Bitcoin.com.
Do you love Twitter? Make sure you favorite the LRN.FM Twitter account so you can receive our tweets at twitter.lrn.fm. That's twitter.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live, talk radio that you control. 855-450-3733. Give me another call. Berate me about not wearing a mask and tell me I'm getting people sick with a disease that I don't have and can't transmit to people if I'm not showing symptoms, evidently. So go ahead, 855-450-3733. With you tonight, it's Arya and Ian.
And a disease that you'll survive with a 99.9698, somewhere in that range, chance of survival if you were to actually contract it and show some sort of symptoms, which the supermajority of people who do contract it don't show any symptoms whatsoever.
I mean,
because it's not a big deal.
I wish I urged Dan to check out that sticker that I mentioned earlier, the one that says,
"Oh yeah,
you know, imagine doing all of this for a virus so deadly that you have to get tested to know you have it."
I am loving the White Rose, which is a sort of a return to the original White Rose Society from back in Germany in the 1940s, which they were undermining the Nazi propaganda with their own propaganda and putting their own lives on the line in order to do that. You probably won't be executed if you're caught putting up one of these stickers, although there may be some sort of punishment if they catch you. But the White Rose is back. If you go to t.me/jointhewhiterose, all one word, so T, like telegram.me/join the White Rose. That's a channel. There's already 2,900 people in this channel. Now, a
Awesome.
channel on Telegram is a one-way. It's not a conversation. It's just a one-way messaging system for whoever these people are behind the white rose to post information. Where it includes photographs of people using these stickers, like putting them on certain signs. And so the idea is you print out these labels. You can get like a cheap $100 label printer and buy some labels at the office store. Then you download all these designs that they've got, pick your favorite ones, and print out an S-ton of labels.
And they have hundreds of designs.
Are there that many? Wow.
Well, I'm guessing hundreds. I know I just kept flipping through them yesterday, and I was like, okay, I'm not anywhere near the end here, so I'm calling it quits.
There's a lot of them for sure, and they're really well done and creative and persuasive, I think. So it actually says here, shall I read some of the White Rose copy here? So it says, "It would be a terrible shame if you decided to print out hundreds of these awesome stickers, which you can download for free from the White Rose Telegram channel using this Brother QL 800 label printer, which you can buy for just $100 or much less secondhand on eBay, then put them up all over the place to wake up the sleeping mask wearers as they go about their day.
What a shame that would be indeed.
Places you definitely shouldn't post them include lampposts, bus and train stops, benches, toilet cubicles, above urinals, parking meters, ATM machines, and most certainly not over the face mask and social distancing / general COVID-19 propaganda posters and stickers that are everywhere now. Whatever you do, don't share this post on as many channels, groups, pages, forums, etc., on as many different social media platforms as you possibly can. And if an idea like this were to go viral, the pervasive 24/7 COVID-19 fear-mongering and propaganda might cease to have any further effect. And at the very least, you will ruin somebody's day who will be very upset at the fact that one of these stickers, this counter propaganda basically, is, just smack in the middle of one of their big COVID-19 propaganda signs. It is a beautiful thing seeing these photographs here.
Well, you mentioned this story from this video from Tom Woods of last week, I think, on the show, and I still haven't actually watched the video, but apparently...
Me neither. I only saw a clip of it.
He dives into the numbers, and he shows that in these places where mask mandates and social distancing occurred, there is no correlation between a rise in cases or a drop in cases, regardless of whether or not there's a mask mandate or a social distancing mandate or whether people are locked down or not.
Mm-hmm.
It's completely all over the place, evidently. Right. So it's total nonsense to think that human beings can fight a force of nature like a disease in the first place. But then on top of that, the kill rate of this thing is 0.02%.
It's unremarkable, honestly.
It is.
And that's even if you believe the government numbers. And I'm sorry, I don't. But even if you take the government numbers at their official so-called levels of what would have, he said 300,000 now in the United States, that's still less than 0.1% of the entire U.S. population over an entire year.
Yeah. It's stupid.
Yeah.
And because of that, the American government caused a 16-year-old kid in Maine to kill himself.
Among others. That's just one of the more recent cases. By the way, I do have more if you want to hear from the original story that we were in.
Absolutely.
About young people and how this is affecting them. We talked about the 2-year-old child that was cited by the New York Times of saying when the child saw people, it would point at them, and it would say, "Uh-oh, people."
Interesting. Did the New York Times characterize the child as it?
I just said that because
okay.
I don't know whether the child is.
That's fair.
Anyway,
he or she is clunky, and they is contentious.
It's weird. So while the Times rightly points out that, let's see here, that the most widespread relationships for toddlers are with their parents, the widespread acceptance of peer isolation of children during the last 10 months is unsettling. Keeping children away from sandboxes and swing sets or depriving them of small birthday parties and play dates is doing more harm than good, particularly where children are mostly spared from the worst effects of COVID-19, and their risk of dying from COVID-19 is thankfully extremely low. By contrast, the harm of lockdowns and other pandemic policies and practices that deprive young people of social connection is disturbingly high. Ellen Townsend is a psychology professor at the University of Nottingham and has been speaking out about the harmful consequences of lockdowns and mass testing policies that are especially damaging to youth during the pandemic. She, along with her colleagues, launched a website, which is reachwell.org, to try to influence policymakers away from damaging lockdowns and mass testing protocols. She says, quote, I'm deeply concerned about the long-term impact on our children and young people, both of lockdowns and mass testing. Face-to-face interaction and play is vital for healthy development from tots to teens, she said in a recent interview, saying further, quote, living in a constant state of threat will have impacts on mental health and development also.
Yeah, because this kid is 2 years old, and he's already at a point where it's like, uh-oh, people. It is going to take this kid's entire life to undo that damage during these extremely formative years of that child's life.
Sure will.
And it may not ever be undone. That's assuming that some therapist is able to identify the problem and trace it back down to COVID-19 and actually address it. But this kid is going to be traumatized.
Yeah, well, like they say here, living in a constant state of threat. Now, we know that it's not that scary, because we can see from our perspectives that this is way blown out of proportion. But for the people that are believing what they're told, like maybe that last caller, for instance, if he was for real, and I think he is based on his previous calls. But, people... Can
you imagine being that so caught up in the propaganda?
That's what I'm saying. Being that afraid of this stuff must be incredibly stressful. That's why these people are lashing out. They literally believe you're trying to kill them. There was a post on, I think it was Reddit the other day, that somebody shared in one of our Telegram chat groups relating to the protests out at the governor's house, saying that being in a crowd without a mask on is tantamount to shooting guns in the air.
But it's not.
But that's how they feel about it.
And if it is tantamount to shooting a gun in the air, then it's only under the condition that the bullet will only hit the other people who have chosen to be there without a mask. So, I mean, I'm okay with that. Even if it was even if we were talking about the freaking Black Plague here, if you had 10 people who wanted to get together and have an orgy or whatever and not wear a mask, I really don't care because they all understand the risks they're taking.
Risks. Exactly.
Let them do that.
Which is why I say even if it was 10 times more dangerous, I still wouldn't care.
No, it's not my call to make.
I want to go and live my life. I'm not going to live cowering in fear of something that might happen. And if it does happen, still probably won't kill you anyway. You're probably more likely to get sick off of the vaccine than you are from actually getting COVID.
Well, you are for sure going to get sick from the vaccine, evidently.
Well, I don't know if it's a sure thing, but there's certainly some people who've gone through the testing that have said they felt very, very sick.
And now people in the United States are being vaccinated. It began yesterday, evidently.
So she says she thinks mass testing will exacerbate the fears that people have. Mass testing will perpetuate restrictive measures. This is a scientifically unsound and unethical screening program. Lockdowns are a disaster for the young and the disadvantaged, she says. And she adds further that the lockdown harms are not only temporary during this pandemic, she says they can have lasting effects. We know that loneliness, she says, is being felt more acutely by young people than older people in this crisis. The mental health impacts of loneliness can last for up to 9 years, she said. I don't see why it's just 9 years, but
it could last an entire lifetime, I'm sure.
So the Wall Street Journal reported Friday COVID vaccine trials for children are beginning, but noted the vaccines will likely not be ready for children by the start of next year's academic year. That could mean many more months of isolation for children unless parents push back against lockdowns, school closures, and related coercive policies that are harming young people most of all. Look, the best way that you can push back against this is by finding other parents that actually get it and then having your play dates and your kids hang out with each other and just get away from these psychos that are trying to tell you how to live. And the best thing you can do is just move to New Hampshire if you care about the ideas of liberty, where you can actually have a community of people that's with you. Although even this community has been schismed over this thing.
It has. I mean, especially in the early days. But ultimately, the skeptics about COVID-19, I think, have been proven correct. And it's really not a big deal. It's not anything we should be worried about. But evidently, we could be wrong, as Dan in Nebraska thinks. What do you think? Are we wrong? Should we be afraid? 855-450-FREE, as in freedom.
And pounds of fur. Our hairballs have hairballs.
Our cat Mama, she's 10 years old. She has dandruff and an oily coat.
I have 2 cats, Sweet Pea and Daisy. Daisy sheds like crazy.
If you love your pets as much as I do, you want to do what's best for them, to live long, healthy, happy lives.
DINOVITE.com.
I just tried this wonderful Catalicious Dynavite for cats, and my cat has been on it for 2 weeks. She is not scratching anymore. She's not chewing anymore. It is just the best.
I was thrilled when I heard Dynavite for cats was coming out because I'd seen the changes in my dog. To introduce my cat to Dynavite, I took the advice from Dynavite and put their food on top of just a scoop in the bowl, just to get them used to it, because I know if I even switch one little thing, they put their nose up to it. There was not one problem.
Dynavite for life. You won't believe how happy your cat will be.
DINOVITE.com.
So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com. If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Stamps.com brings the post office and UPS shipping right to your computer. Go to Stamps.com to start a 4-week trial, plus free postage and a digital scale with promo code FOX. That's Stamps.com. Click on the microphone at the top of the page and type in FOX.
He's out. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. The nation's top law enforcement official is leaving the White House.
President Trump tweeting, just had a very nice meeting with Attorney General Bill Barr at the White House. Our relationship has been a very good one. He has done an outstanding job. As per letter, Bill will be leaving just before Christmas to spend the holidays with his family. Deputy Attorney General Jeff Rosen, an outstanding person, will become acting Attorney General. The president has been openly feuding with Barr after he concluded that the Department of Justice has not seen fraud on a scale that could have affected a different outcome in the presidential election. At the White House, John Decker, Fox News.
It's official. California's 55 electoral votes putting President-elect Biden over the top.
Joseph R. Biden of Delaware, a Democrat. Ayes 55. Noes 0.
Confirming the Biden victory in last month's election, Biden's expected to speak later this hour. An excerpt released earlier, he's expected to say there is urgent work in front of all of us, getting the pandemic under control to getting the nation vaccinated against this virus. The first doses of the Pfizer vaccine for COVID-19 are being distributed across the country as the nation surpasses 300,000 deaths. Another COVID-19 relief package on the table is being presented by Republicans and Democrats in the House and Senate. One bill would provide $748 billion in aid for small businesses and vaccine distribution.
Basically what it does, it takes care of those who are unemployed. In an emergency, if you're unemployed, that's an emergency and you're running out of your unemployment check. We have 13 weeks or 16 weeks at $300 a week for that. Food assistance. We have nutrition assistance, food assistance.
West Virginia Democrat Joe Manchin, the second $160 billion package would include aid for state and local governments and create a temporary liability shield from COVID-related lawsuits. America is listening to Fox News.
2020 has already reshaped how we work, and it's almost over. Businesses across the globe are challenged to be their most efficient, which means every hire is critical. Indeed is here to help. Indeed helps you find quality candidates quickly, so you can focus on hiring the person you need to keep your business going. Unlike other sites, Indeed gives you full control and payment flexibility over your hiring. You only pay for what you need, can pause your account at any time, and there are no long-term contracts. And now, Indeed's new way of matching you with candidates instantly delivers a short list of quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job criteria that you can contact the moment you sponsor a job, making Indeed the only job site that can move as fast as you do. Right now, Indeed is offering a free $75 credit to boost your job post, which means more quality candidates will see it fast. Get started on Indeed.com/Fox. Offer valid through December 31st. Terms and conditions apply.
Indoor dining in New York City is on hold again.
Restaurants are still permitted to have takeaway, delivery, and can provide outdoor dining. That means customers can be served at street-side tables as well as in temporary structures. An industry group, the New York Hospitality Alliance, issued a statement that read in part, Governor Cuomo's announcement to once again shut down indoor dining in New York City is at odds with the state's own data, adding, it will be the last straw for countless more restaurants and jobs. Making the situation worse is the weather. Rain today is keeping diners away, and later this week, heavy snow is in the forecast. In New York, David Lee Miller, Fox News.
Britain's health secretary says London and its surrounding areas will be placed under the highest level of coronavirus restrictions starting Wednesday.
Japan grants suffrage to female robots, and a hypochondriac maple tree is always convinced it has Asian longhorn beetles. The following two statements are true. The previous statement is false, and this is the Onion Week in Review. This week, Americans nationwide were stunned to hear horrific allegations on Wall Street revealing that numerous junior bankers have been forced to survive on a mere $6,800 per week. The findings, which implicate numerous high-profile financial institutions such as Bank of America, Morgan Stanley, and Citibank, suggest that hundreds of first-year bankers are constantly deprived of basic necessities, including penthouse apartments overlooking Central Park and regular company-financed vacations to the French Riviera.
Many of these bankers are 23 or 24 years old and don't even have access to an expense account of over $50,000 a year. Not only that, but some of them are making as little as 20 times minimum wage. I mean, this is truly disgraceful.
This is the Onion News Network.
Republicans back a plan for universal lawn care, and an RC car works up the courage to approach a group of girls. And now a recap of the week's news for those who like to waste their summers surfing the internet. Fall, the long-running series of shorter days and cooler nights, was canceled this week after nearly 3 billion seasons on Earth. The classic period of the year, which once occupied the coveted slot between summer and winter, will be replaced by new stifling humidity levels and near-constant sunshine. A shiny, bobbing object in the water is generating fascination among members of the fish community, who have described it as pleasingly wiggly and minnow-esque. Aquatic experts say that decisive action must be taken against the object very soon. In local news, just when 27-year-old Andrew Sheets didn't think his vacation could get any better, a rerun of Spin City came on. And in other headlines, a bee stuck between the screen and front door is going nuts. And a water skier lets go of the crossbar to greet those not currently water skiing.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
This is Free Talk Live, and I can't wait to hug my kids, says this, quote, frontline worker. I hate that phrase because it makes it out to be something it's not. I mean, if you want to talk about frontline workers, healthcare workers being frontline workers, that's fine. Okay. But also include your gas station employees, your restaurant employees, and all of these other peoples, because if the healthcare workers are the frontline, then so is your Starbucks barista.
Sure. Anybody that encounters the public, presumably. If everyone's such a danger.
I almost refuse to drive home a certain way on Optical Avenue because they have signs out in front saying heroes work here, and I just find it so repugnant. I could not work at a place that put that up in front of it.
Here's the most offensive version, though, of that. So it's one thing for people who are, doing what they consider to be essential work. I mean, I do tend to turn my nose up at it a little bit like you, but where it's really offensive is when it's on a government bureaucracy.
Oh, yeah.
And they have it in front of the county.
That.
It's in front of the county building. I don't know if it's still there, but it was earlier this year, the large signage with the Heroes Work Here thing. In front of a county building full of office-bound, pencil-pushing bureaucrats.
And they love their pencil-pushing nonsense.
Yeah. They're not interacting with members of the public in any significant manner whatsoever.
They're certainly not providing a useful service.
Yeah, they're surely hiding behind plexiglass and everything else. So, it's just absolutely ridiculous.
I have an appointment with the DMV. I can't wait to see if they want me to wear a mask when I get my driver's license picture taken.
During your driver's license picture.
I obviously didn't do it when I went there. I mean, they're a bureaucracy, so I went there and they're like, oh, no, you didn't get this signed and notarized in triplicates. You have to reschedule an appointment, which, as I understand it, is everyone's first experience with the Keene DMV.
Yeah.
So I have to go back, obviously. But they did ask me to wear a mask. They said, do you have a mask you can put on? I said, no. They said, do you want one? I said, no, thank you. And that was the end of it.
That's it.
So, I mean, they're the government, though. I think they recognize that they can't force me to wear a mask to be in there. But I know courts don't seem to recognize that basic right, as you've experienced in Concord.
That's true. That's a federal court. The other Concord court just wouldn't even let me in the door, but they won't let anybody in. They're closed.
Well, before we start talking about how kids are going to be even more messed up because apparently some people haven't hugged their kids in 9 months, let's go to the phones. We've got Terry calling from New Hampshire. Terry, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hey, Terry.
Hi there. Can a customer in New Hampshire without a mask on get a $500 fine?
In some places, like Nashua, I think.
Is it that high in Nashua? Is it $1,000? It is up to $1,000, I think, in Nashua.
But it's the business that's in Nashua. In Concord, it's the customer.
No. Nashua can go after anybody. Nashua's the most restrictive of all the New Hampshire city mask mandates. I don't think that there's a fine that is prescribed for the statewide mask mandate. However, it is... the thing they're trying to dodge is the fact that any violation of a governor's orders, emergency orders, can be charged as a misdemeanor. So technically there would be up to a $1,000 fine, I believe, on those.
Is there a website to apply for exemption from the governor?
So you don't ask for exemption from the bureaucracy. You demand your exemption. You tell them that you are exempt. You tell them when they try to confront you. If you want to, you could go to a doctor and get a doctor's note if you feel like you have to have a piece of paper from another so-called authority, right? Because if you have a doctor's note, you're throwing your authority up against their so-called authority, because you've got a man with a PhD next to his name and they've got a bureaucrat. So which authority wins? I don't know.
A lot of people won't accept that, though. A lot of businesses, doctor excuses aren't permitted, like airlines.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter if you have a doctor's excuse. You're either putting on a mask or you're not flying.
That's right. So I would recommend it. Why? Do you live here in New Hampshire?
Yeah, an employee at Cumberland Farms in Franklin, New Hampshire told me I would get a $500 fine if I was caught unmasked in a store.
Well, she's full of it, I think, or he is full of it. I suspect that's not going to happen. I have not yet heard of any individuals at all receiving any kind of fines for non-maskiness.
As much as I hate it, I would rather see that than seeing the businesses fined for allowing service to customers who aren't in masks. Because I oppose fascism more than I do whatever you would, just raw statism, I guess.
I mean, it's all bad to me. But yeah, I haven't heard about that happening yet, sir, so I wouldn't really worry about it.
I would recommend just go to a different store.
Well, yeah, go to a different store, but even if you did get a fine, you should fight it and not pay it, because only suckers pay government fines.
They'll usually drop it anyway.
Another customer behind me said that on Governor Sununu's website there was an exemption to apply for. I was just wondering if you heard about that.
No, you don't apply for exemptions. So an application is begging. When you apply for a thing from the government, you're saying, please help me, give me this thing, give me this exemption. I need you to give me my hall pass or whatever. And a free person doesn't act like that.
Are you a native to New Hampshire, Terry?
Yes.
Are you on board with the live free or die idea?
Yeah.
Then just live free, man.
Just live free. Here's what I'd recommend you do. In addition to living free, familiarize yourself with your cell phone. If you have a smartphone, there's usually a video camera app on your smartphone that you can put on your desktop, put on your quick access to where you can easily get to it. And if you find yourself in a conversation with the threatening employee or a threatening cop, and you are not feeling very good about that, you want to go ahead and pull out your camera and start recording it. It could turn the tables in your favor. At the very least, if it doesn't turn the tables in your favor, it could result in the person acting ridiculous on camera, which could be a viral video moment that may, help people understand what these situations are like. So there's benefits that come from recording these situations. I personally withdraw from the situation of a private business. I would rather not record in a private business. But if it does come down to a difficult situation, I will break my rule in that case. Like normally I won't record in somebody's business, but if there's a cop in there threatening somebody, then I'll probably pull out, my camera and record.
Sure, because it's more important to hold the police accountable.
Correct. And I feel differently if it's just an employee. There was a woman, for instance, remember I was telling you that women get targeted for this stuff more often than men for not wearing masks. One of the actually the same lady who got arrested for taking her kid to the park in Concord. She was in one of those beauty stores, like makeup selling stores. I think it's called Sephora.
Okay.
And she was confronted because she wasn't wearing a mask.
Oh, this was her who posted that video.
Yeah, by like a teenage girl who was in her mask and,
It
giving
was like,
her...
you're going to kill my grandma.
Yeah, giving her what for not wearing a mask and basically saying she wasn't allowed in the store. It's like, well, just go somewhere else. But I don't think she was wrong for pulling out the camera in that particular situation. It's a heated situation, and you never know what someone's going to do.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I would say don't worry about it, man. Just have your camera ready in case something happens.
Terry, thank you so much for the call. That's all really good advice. You should always generally have your camera within arm's reach anyway, because we do have these thugs running around the streets largely with impunity who do whatever they want whenever they want, and it really doesn't matter what the law says.
And I think your prediction is correct that if somebody does end up with one of these fines, that they will probably drop the charges, because this is, I think at least in New Hampshire's case, a big intimidation tactic by the state, but that they're not really following through, at least on the individual level, at least that we've seen so far. They don't want to go to trial because if you go to trial, you have the chance of overturning their ordinance.
Yeah.
You could appeal, for instance, if you lose at the district court level or superior court or whatever, you could then, I think superior district court, if you lose at district court, you can then appeal to the New Hampshire Supreme Court, and for
you would
better
win.
for worse, you could win that.
I don't see how you couldn't. The First Amendment argument is airtight. You have the right to
For freedom
express
of
yourself.
speech,
Freedom of speech.
And that includes facial expressions.
It does. And I'm sure there's been some point, flipping people off is an expression.
It is, and that's protected speech.
Yeah, so why wouldn't smiling be protected speech?
Yeah. I think that they absolutely would drop this, and I think that's one of the reasons why they haven't bothered trying, is they are probably afraid they're going to lose this thing. And if they do it, they're only going to do it against the people they think won't fight, just like why they pick on poor people, for instance, usually with most of their prohibition crimes, like underage drinking or possession of whatever drugs. They usually go after people who can't afford to hire an attorney.
I know someone who was recently charged with some stuff from her past, and they were going to extradite her, and I advised her, I was like, fight this every step of the way. Don't give in to anything. Don't give them anything. They drop the charges.
Boom. Yeah. Nice.
Because they don't want to fight. It's not worth it to them. It was like a $200 fine.
When they arrested us for drinking doing the drinking game in city council chambers years ago, they held those charges on me for the entire year, and then the day before the trial, dropped them.
Yeah, because it's not worth it. And you're just going to make them look like an idiot in the courtroom anyway. It's just not worth it to them. Even if they did get some sort of revenue from you. 855-450-3733.
I wouldn't pay them.
No, they would just send you to jail for a few days. This is Free Talk Live.
She's a purebred, orange and white Brittany. But when we adopted April, she started scratching like crazy. I said, what you put into a dog is what you get out. DINOVITE.com. So we had a huge scoop of Dinovite in her bowl. She licked it clean. She loved it. Her coat is now soft, it's silky. Dinovite is nutrition.
You get some Dinovite, how happy your dog will be.
On Dinovite, she's Little Miss Hollywood. DINOVITE.com.
Divvy's been a pretty good investment for Free Talk Live. Their ad campaign started in September 2019, and from mid-March to mid-July, the values soared by 10 times. It's not too late. Divvy's new wallet hasn't even released yet, and other things are happening that I can't even say on the radio. If you want to invest and potentially do well, go to DivvyProject.org. I can tell you that FTL is deepening its partnership with the guys from DivvyProject.org. Past performance is not an indication of future profit. DivvyProject.org. DIVI Project.org.
Got shaving irritation? Shave Secret Shaving Oil can help stop it. Shave Secret doesn't cost much and is an all-American product. My name is Chuck Howard, and I developed Shave Secret and pioneered its use starting back in 1991. Ingrown hairs drove me nuts for years. Shaving oil changed all that. Why put up with ingrown hairs, bumps, red rash, nicks, and cuts? Shave Secret provides men and women with what we believe is the best shave ever. Our proprietary blend of 100% natural base and essential oils, plus a hint of menthol, was designed to help eliminate shaving irritations like ingrown hairs, bumps, red rash, nicks, and cuts. We'll lose those shaving irritations. Available at Super Walmart, H-E-B, Wegmans, Giant Eagle, Discount Drug, Navy and Marine Exchanges, Amazon, and ShaveSecret.com. Use the code FTL for Free Talk Live and get a discount. Shave Secret, the best shave ever.
Having taken her
phone records, financial and location data, Prism, Tempora, Xkeyscore, Boundless Informant. Hey, y'all, Scott Horton here for offnow.org. Now, here's the deal. Due to the Snowden revelations, we have a great opportunity for a short period of time to get some real rollback of the national surveillance state. Now, they're already trying to tire us by introducing fake reforms in the Congress. And the courts, they betrayed their sworn oaths to the Constitution and Bill of Rights again and again, and can in no way be trusted to stop the abuses for us. We've got to do it ourselves. How? We nullify it at the state level. It's still not easy, but the Off Now project of the 10th Amendment Center has gotten off to a great start. I mean it. There's real reason to be optimistic here. They've gotten their model legislation introduced all over the place, in state after state. I've lost count, more than a dozen. You're always wondering, yeah, but what can we do? Here's something important, something that can work if we do the work. Get started cutting off the NSA support in your state. Go to offnow.org.
The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it. The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount.
You can put the Liberty Radio Network on the air in your area. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how. Broadcast.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live, talk radio that you control. You can call and talk about anything that's on your mind. 855-450-3733. With you tonight, it's Aria and Ian. And ForkFest 2021, just over 6 months away, evidently. You can join liberty-minded volunteers, anarchists, and libertarians from June the 28th through July the 4th for ForkFest 2021 at Rogers Campground in the beautiful White Mountains of New Hampshire. Now, it happens just the week after the Porcupine Freedom Festival, but ForkFest is decentralized, which means that no one's in charge and there is no ticket cost. All you have to do is reserve your camping site, RV site, or motel room with Rogers Campground for June the 28th through July the 4th. And we're better to celebrate Independence Day than around other freedom-loving activists in the Shire. Last week, we've been talking about masks a lot tonight. Last year, I think there was one person, well, as it progressed and the normal people started coming in, there were more masks, but even the person who attended the Porcupine Freedom Festival ended up taking their mask off more often than not. It's one of the few places you'll probably see smiling faces this year, so check it out. Forkfest.party is the unofficial website. You can connect with other Forkfesters there using the unofficial Telegram chat or the Forkfest forum. We'll see you there June the 28th through July the 4th, 2021 at Rogers Campground, Forkfest.party.
It's the only place that feels sane, honestly. It's the most sane feeling place in New Hampshire.
It was. Yeah. Which is remarkable, but...
Right.
Let's go to the phones. We've got Larry from Indianapolis calling. Larry, you're on Free Talk Live.
I just want to make one couple of points. What you said about the fines that they hand out. Now, before this all happened back in October, I went through it with the public health department, right? Well, when they get you into court, it's too late for you because you can't reach common law in this administrative court. They have an administrative judge, and, I've been to court before, and I've filed certain things according to common law, but the judge apprised me before I came to court that you cannot count on anything in our court once we come out and do the work on your property, then that fine is due, and you know what they do for you? They put it on your property tax bill. So if you own property, then all you're going to do is if they give you $1,000 fine and say your property tax is $3,000, they're just going to add it on to that. And when you don't pay that, they're going to sell your property.
Thankfully, that doesn't happen here in New Hampshire.
Well, yeah, I'm sure that they'll come up with it because When you defy their orders and directives, it's a Class A misdemeanor, so they can use deadly force on you. And just like I said, they're going to have quarantine camps because it's building up to that. And as soon as Biden gets in there, he's going to have a mandate that's impossible to comply with. And then you're going to get a bunch of people going to the quarantine camps. You're going to be losing their properties. We need to wake up. This is not some funny thing. This is to take your property and to lock you in a concentration camp or quarantine camp or whatever you want to say. People don't think about it, but it's the slow creep, right? They're not going to give any more stimulus.
I don't think they're going to be. I don't think they're going to have to go to camps.
No, they're going to put people in hotels.
Well, no, they're turning the whole place into a quarantine camp. Okay, if they're telling people they can't leave their homes without penalty, most people are just going to stay home. So we've seen that's incredibly effective. But as we saw this week from the South Australian government, they're going to use technology. If what they're doing there starts to spread, where they're now mandating that anyone who wants to go shopping has to check in with a government app on their phone. As they walk into the grocery store, there's a QR code that they'll print out and put on a big sign at the front of the store. That code you scan with a government app from the government of My South Australia. No. I mean, there may not be a security guard to stop you from going in, so we're still not sure what happens to the people that just walk by the sign. But what they're being
just use a regular QR scanner to just scan it and
to make it look like they're doing something. Yeah. But that's step one, right? Is to get people used to checking in. They're calling it the COVID safe check-in. And then if you want to go grocery shopping, they're telling you that it's a mandate. So what's the punishment if you don't do it? We don't know. But that it's supposedly a mandate for you to scan this QR code, which then the government app registers as you being in this place, which of course
they're not going to play because this whole thing is a lie because our city council, now you can't go to their meetings, right?
Nope, not anymore.
And Monday night, they gave some biotech company $2 billion to set up the infrastructure for their big gated community. $2 billion. They gave it to them. A $2 billion incentive package.
This is the City Council of Indianapolis?
Of Indianapolis. Look at
How the hell do they have $2 billion?
They got some from the state of Indiana, and then they use some of our tax money here. They call this district to pay $2 billion for infrastructure and gave them the land, too. So I don't know what people are thinking about, but this is crucial. This is about a transfer of property, and that's what it's always been about. Nobody can save your life. I don't care how they try to do it.
Nope, you're going to die.
Funny jokes they make up and stuff about this. But if we don't stop it soon, we're going to be too weak to fight. And I think that was their plan all along, to get you too weak to fight and then come and close in on you and start taking your property and doing just what they want to do because it's brutal. People don't think. First, it's the light exclusion and then vicious murder. And that's what it's coming down to because people have not changed their nature. They've not changed their nature. In the schools and stuff, I have some statutory books here from when they had to call an emergency session back in 1934 here in the state of Indiana. They done everything, but they didn't abandon our kids. They did not abandon them during the Depression. They kept them in school because they knew that they were our future. But now all cards are off the table, and people are going along with this stuff.
They better stop.
With them. If they don't stop it, the restaurant owners, you just think about it, guys. You got a restaurant. You know, a restaurant business is hard to be in.
It is.
And
and suddenly they lost almost all of their customers. I mean, they barely make profits as it is, right? They depend on volume in order to make any sort of money whatsoever. And suddenly their volume just plummeted. They rely on extremely narrow profit margins in order to pay the bills.
Yeah. Well, the only thing that's saving the ones that are still alive is the fact that the other ones have gone under. Yeah. So the total number of customers is way down. So there's now fewer customers going into fewer restaurants. And there's a few that are able to stay alive as a result of that.
I saw a news story today that I find pretty depressing, really. It's the fact it was a story about Domino's and the fact that their stock is up like 30% this year, and they're doing so well that they're about to give all of their employees a $1,200 Christmas bonus throughout, I don't know, I think it was something like 30,000 stores. Now, meanwhile, mom and pop places are going out of business all over the country. People out there, I urge you, stop buying corporate food and instead go to your local Indian place. Go to your local Jamaican place, your Vietnamese place. Keep those people in business, okay? Domino's will be just fine. Papa John's will be just fine. McDonald's will be just fine. But your mom and pop place won't be. 855-450-3733. Maybe we got it backwards because this entire scheme, this entire system, it shut down local businesses and kept Walmarts and CVS and McDonald's and all of these other mega chains, these mega corporations open, while places that, little stores, little mom and pop stores, little trinket stores, they had to close down because they weren't deemed essential.
See, it's safe to be inside Walmart.
Right, with all of the yes, because the ghastly fluorescent lights kills coronavirus, right? Nothing makes me despise humanity more than a trip to Walmart, though. I don't go to Walmart under any circumstances. I hate that place. It is proof that God hates us. That's what Walmart is. 855-450-FREE, as in freedom.
Bitcoin.com is the best source for learning about cryptocurrency. Go there now, click on Get Started at the top of the page. Once you do that, you'll find a cornucopia of information, neatly organized for your needs. If you're a knowledgeable crypto user, check out news.bitcoin.com, where you can get the latest headlines. Bitcoin.com is your source for buying cryptocurrency, getting a wallet app, mining, trading, and all the latest cryptocurrency news, all on a slick and easy-to-use website. All put together by the best minds in the business to teach you about cryptocurrency. Bitcoin.com.
What if the United States and the Soviet Union had fought on land, sea, air, and the astral plane, struggled for dominion across parallel dimensions or on the surface of the moon? What wonders would have been unveiled? What terrors would have haunted mankind from those dark and dismal dimensions? Come closer, peer through a glass darkly, and discover the horrifying alternative visions of World War III from some of today's greatest minds in science fiction, fantasy, and horror. Weird World War III. Available now from Baen Books at BaenBooks.com.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this, right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it, and once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world, so I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here, and I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, connect with others via the forum at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com.
Cell 411 is a free app for Android and iOS that replaces government-controlled 911. Cell 411 allows you to preset a group of friends or private organizations to show up at any emergency. Cell 411 is a nightmare for the state because it proves their so-called services aren't needed. Cell 411 has had thousands of installs, and of course it's covered by the BIPCOT no government license. Cell 411 because your friends won't shoot you when you're in trouble. Without the government, who would build the emergency services? You and Cell 411. Get it today at getcell411.com.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com. I'm grateful to have heard from some of our satellite listeners recently. I appreciate knowing that people are out there who like what we do and are willing to support it financially. LRN.FM's free-to-air satellite feeds blanket most of 2 continents. It was my goal to put our channel there so people without internet could receive our programs and feed pirate radio stations. We started a fundraiser on Patreon a few years ago to back the satellite channels. I recently announced that I was considering canceling the feeds, and donations increased from 15 to 20% of our costs, which are around $1,000 per month. That's a good start, and to incentivize more contributions, the Shire Free Church will be matching every dollar. Can we reach $500 per month? With your help, we can. You can join our satellite fundraiser for just $2 a month at fund.lrn.fm. If we raise enough to keep both of the channels on the air, awesome. If we raise more, I'll add more channels. If not, we can shut them down and go internet only. It's up to you. Thank you for your support. promote.fund.lrn.fm.
Help get LRN.FM into more ears. Visit promote.lrn.fm for a free bumper sticker, flyers, banners, graphics, and more. Promote.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live, talk radio that you control. You can call in and talk about anything that's on your mind. 855-450-3733. Evidently, the electors got together yesterday or today or at some point recently, and they did their little ceremony thing and said booga booga, and therefore Joe Biden is the president-elect. But he seems to think that this means he's the actual president, as he has some advisor or something coming out saying, hey, no Christmas parties for you. Is that correct?
Right. Yep. So I don't know, what this guy's going to be taking over when he's finally put in charge, presuming Joe Biden actually ends up taking office. It seems like he's finally going to, I think, now with the electors coming back with the official news. But the Trump true believers, man, they think he's going to pull some sort of thing out at the very last minute.
Republicans are not okay regarding these election results. I've seen them saying things like, by March 2021, Biden's going to surrender to the Chinese government. And by summer, they'll be occupying American soil. It's like, and they'll kill 90% of Americans. Like, dude, how unhinged are you?
Yeah, the Chinese are not the threat.
Your government is the threat. Joe Biden is the threat. You should be way more scared of Joe Biden than you are the Chinese government.
So, according to Reuters, a top coronavirus advisor to Joe Biden delivered a stern holiday message to Americans on Thursday. And you knew this was coming.
Oh, of course. They did it for Thanksgiving.
Yeah. No Christmas parties. And they're going to say the same thing for New Year's. And in fact, there's even another story. Maybe we'll talk about it tomorrow about Times Square. They're not going to let anybody in. They're going to put a show on.
How long has that been going on in Times Square, the gathering there?
Must be decades. I don't know how many decades.
They're going to break this decades-old tradition.
They are. Mm-hmm. Everybody's going to have to be told to stay home. They, according to the story here, they are warned that they will face a COVID-19 siege for weeks to come, despite the latest moves towards U.S. government approval of a vaccine. Quote, the next 3 to 6 weeks at minimum are COVID weeks, said Michael Osterholm, a member of Biden's coronavirus advisory board. He said to CNN, quote, it won't end after that, but that is the period right now where we could have a surge upon a surge upon a surge.
Oh, wow. They're really escalating this fear-mongering nonsense, right? I could just hear George W. Bush saying weapons of mass destruction repeatedly in his speeches.
This is the new version of that. Because the weapons of mass destruction weren't scary to us, right? They were just things being dropped on brown
but
people.
They made them sound so scary. Right?
Now this is scary for you, supposedly.
The surge. It's going to happen. Got to watch out for the surge.
So let's see here. Osterholm stressed it would be several months before the nation sees widespread availability of vaccines, the first of which cleared a U.S. key regulatory hurdle last week. A panel of outside advisors to the Food and Drug Administration voted overwhelmingly to recommend emergency use authorization of a vaccine developed by Pfizer and BioNTech SE. FDA approval is expected within days, which happened, as you probably know. Now they're administering this vaccine.
They began yesterday, apparently.
The advisory panel is due to review a second vaccine from Moderna Incorporated this week. Preparations for the vaccine rollout are in full swing. Now, apparently these vaccines must stay at negative 90 degrees. Did you hear about that?
I did not. So they're injecting things into them that are negative 90 degrees?
I don't know if they inject them immediately. I don't know what the process is like, but as far as them being stored, they are supposed to be stored at very, very cold temperatures. They say we only have 6 hours to actually use the vaccine. The vaccines require storage in an ultra-cold freezer unit and must be prepared for injection and given quickly once thawed. So they do thaw it out.
Well, that's good, because it sounds like it's probably deadly to insert something into someone that's negative 90 degrees.
And they say we only have 6 hours to use it. Nevertheless, he said their sizable quantities of vaccines would not be available to the public at large before March or April. And healthcare workers and nursing home residents are likely to be designated as the first in line for the shots. So,
what if they don't want to be first in line?
Well, then you don't have to be, I guess.
Okay.
They'll probably fire you if you're like a healthcare worker or whatever. He urged Americans to do their utmost to slow the contagion by limiting social interaction to members of their immediate households and, above all, no Christmas parties. And I don't know if you heard, but out in San Francisco, they're telling people they're basically not allowed to, like, hold hands and kiss people on dates and things like that. Like, it's total restrict. Yeah, I'll have to pull that one up, too. But he said there is not a safe Christmas party in this country right now.
No, I don't celebrate Christmas, but I got to tell you, they are making me want to.
Yeah.
Am I enough of a rebel to be a Satanist celebrating Christmas? Man, that's tempting. And I'm off work that day, so if I decide to throw a Christmas party, I can, in fact, make that happen.
You might have a nice new big room on your house in which you could throw a Christmas party, actually.
I don't know. That's 9 days, man. I've seen the way these dudes work. That might be pushing it by a few months.
Could be. This is just the story is basically
more
just
their usual crap, right?
This is just basically generic information about, there's not a whole lot in here about the Christmas party crackdown. They're just saying don't do it. And then they get into some more of these various restrictions like curfews that are being put into place. And then they say here that Biden, who takes office January 20th after defeating Donald Trump in the election, has set a goal of vaccinating 100 million people within the first 100 days of his administration.
Yes, and that's why he said that just wear a mask for 100 days. What I would love to see, and I know it's not going to happen, but I would love to see all manner of people at the stroke of midnight, January the 1st, 2021, say, yeah, we're leaving this mask crap, we're leaving this social distancing crap in 2020.
That'd be great.
It's not welcome in 2021. I think all of these attempts to just take off the mask, these attempts to go viral, New Year's Eve is probably the best time to do that. Hey, let's leave this crap in 2020. Okay, let's make 2021 a different year. So if anyone out there wants to attempt that, I think it would probably be more successful than the ones we've seen so far. England, however, is seeing a surge in coronavirus cases.
A surge upon a surge upon a surge.
At least 6 surges deep at this
point now. Surge cubed.
London and its surrounding areas will be placed under Britain's highest level of coronavirus restrictions beginning Wednesday.
Now, is that the red zone or the purple zone?
It's level 3 in
Level
England.
3.
Or, excuse me, Britain.
Oh, okay.
I like how they're the highest level of coronavirus restrictions. No, they're the highest level of government restrictions.
Yeah, freedom restrictions.
Starting Wednesday as infections rise rapidly in the capital, adding that a new variant of the disease may be to blame for the spread.
Infections are rising rapidly, but not deaths.
Just infections.
Because if it was deaths, they'd say that instead.
Yeah.
Right?
But it's not deaths.
No.
And we knew that infections were going to rise rapidly during the winter anyway.
And because more people are being tested.
Also true.
Yeah.
Health Secretary Matt Hancock said the government must take swift action after seeing very sharp exponential rises, or as Biden's man says, surges upon surges upon surges. He said in some areas, cases are doubling every 7 days. The surge, they love that word, dude. The surge of COVID-19 cases in southern England may be associated with a new variant of coronavirus. Heck, and let's remind everyone here that coronavirus basically common cold. So this is a new variant of the common cold, because they're not saying it's a new variant of COVID-19 or whatever. No, or COVID SARS-2 or whatever it's supposed to be called. It's just blanket coronavirus, just a blanket cold. We don't know anything else about it. He said officials are assessing the new strand, but stressed there was nothing to suggest it was more likely to cause serious disease or that it wouldn't respond to a vaccine, which is the part where they begin to lose me. Because the whole reason we don't have a disease for the common cold, which, as we discussed...
A cure, you mean? You said a disease for the common cold.
I meant a vaccine for the common cold. The reason we don't have a vaccine for the common cold, which, as we've discussed, is a coronavirus, is because it mutates and produces too many variants for a vaccine to be worth it. Well, so does the SARS-CoV-2 or whatever. Evidently, how can a vaccine work for it when it doesn't work for the common cold? I'm confused here, and I
just need to believe.
I need someone to explain to me the logic and rationality behind this. Don't just tell
here's the logic and rationality. Somebody wants to make a lot of money.
Yes.
Somebody in some pharmaceutical companies and their buddies in their pockets of the politicians' world, they want to make some money.
The medical advice that we have is that this is highly unlikely that this new variant will impinge the vaccine and the impact of the vaccine. Britain started vaccinating people on December the 8th, so a few days before we did. Under Tier 3 restrictions, the toughest in England's 3-tier system, people can't socialize indoors or at bars, pubs, or restaurants, and all of those places must close except for takeout.
Wow.
What an insane world we live in. 855-450-FREE.
It's not over. Sadly, our nation is going through tough times again, with no end in sight, and nobody knows what might happen next year. That's why it's a good idea to plan ahead so you aren't caught off guard. Nothing's more important than having enough food to eat, and we're here to help. We're My Patriot Supply, America's leading emergency preparedness company. We provide long-term emergency food that lasts up to 25 years in storage. When grocery stores run empty or disasters strike, our foods will be there when you need it most. Act now and secure at least a 4-week emergency food kit full of tasty meals that provide 2,000 calories a day. We have dozens of emergency food storage kits to choose from. When the government tells you not to go out, you can have the peace of mind that comes from being prepared. When you order from MyPatriotSupply.com, your food will arrive discreetly at your doorstep in no time. Prepare today. Time is short. MyPatriotSupply.com. That's MyPatriotSupply.com.
Attention business owners body slammed by overwhelming debt. If your business is in trouble, hassled by creditors, if you're frustrated, finally fed up with big business bailouts while your business has been left for dead, please listen close. There's a brand new fast-track bankruptcy. Some have even called it the biggest small business bailout in American history. Designed for individuals and their businesses. And look, almost no one knows about this yet. My attorney wasn't even aware of it. The truth is, beating the system has never been easy because it's rigged in a sense against the little guy. But here's the jaw-dropping news nobody's talking about. They've literally just changed the system so that you can beat it, but only if you understand how the new game has to be played. Find out if you qualify at pocketsoflight.com. This government-backed small business repair program is still legal, but may not be renewed after the election. Fight back fairly, fight back ethically at pocketsoflight.com.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market. Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. Physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com. What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191. Are you a cryptocurrency advocate? The Crypto Tip is the ideal outreach tool to help new people discover cryptocurrency. It's a printable business card-sized tip that you can give to service providers, preferably in addition to a good cash tip. When the server scans the QR code, it'll bring up an explanation of cryptocurrency, how to install a wallet, and allow them to claim the tip. If they don't claim the crypto, you get your tip refunded to you after a time period you specify. Plus, if they do claim the tip, you get an email alert. Create as many tips as you want at cryptotip.org. That's cryptotip.org.
Some of our live shows are streamed in HD on Twitch. Please follow and share at twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live, talk radio that you control. 855-450-FREE, as in freedom. If you're quick, you can still get on the air with us. With you tonight, it's been Aria and
it's Ian.
And I want to say thank you to Rapture, who is tonight's amplifier. He's a silver level amplifier, which means he's a member of the program, donating $5 per month to the AMP program. Now, this money helps us to advertise, market, and promote more radio stations. So if you like Free Talk Live, if you like us being on the air, if you want us on the air in your area, the best way to do that, other than calling your station's programming directors and asking them, is to donate to the AMP program. You can find it at amp.freetalklive.com. Thank you, Rapture, so much for your support. We hope you continue amplifying, and we hope you continue listening to the show. Unfortunately, they asked for 2 weeks, just 2 weeks for us to flatten the curve. And then this went on, and there's like, okay, well, we need a few months. And now they're saying, just give us 100 days. But that's all just inconsequential compared to what some of these people are actually saying. Bill Gates here actually wants us to go even further. One of these is playing, and I don't know which one it is. So it's going to take me a minute to identify it because there's always 1,000 tabs open here.
Right. Yeah. Sorry about that.
Is this okay?
Sometimes you can see the little speaker icon.
Not when they're this tiny, though.
Yeah. So the story that we're going to get into is about Bill Gates, who apparently has been speaking just basically saying that the coronavirus lockdowns and restrictions are going to go through 2022, and that, he's so sorry, but business owners are just going to have to go out of business. It's the price they're going to have to pay.
Yeah, he seems, as someone who is a billionaire, he seems shockingly unconcerned about the results that this is going to have on people's actual daily lives.
Yeah.
I mean, people are trying to run businesses. They have to make a profit, and he's Bill Gates. He doesn't have to, so he doesn't care.
Yeah, and I don't know why, people think that this guy who's basically a software programmer who really, he's successful at that, but that doesn't mean that he knows anything about viruses. I get that that's his hobby or whatever, but
everyone's allowed a hobby. That's fine.
But to take him as seriously as people do, I don't get it. Hey, you found it.
I think so, man.
Which one was it?
I don't know. But anyway, here's our expert,
right
Bill
now
Gates.
Under brand new stay-at-home orders as hospitals there risk being overwhelmed. There are a lot of governors who oppose bringing back these lockdown orders and forcing businesses to close. What do you think? Do you think more states need to consider taking that kind of drastic action and the kind of drastic action we saw when the pandemic first began, or can there be a more nuanced approach?
Well, certainly mask wearing has essentially no downside. They're not expensive.
Yes,
Bars
it does. It has the downside of destroying your connection to other human beings. It has the downside of wiping away expressions from people's faces and your ability to understand better what someone is communicating to you through, seeing their lips move, number one, but number two, also seeing their lips curling into a smile or frowning at you or whatever other indicators they're giving you of how they're actually feeling.
I mean, the big problem with text messaging and messaging on Facebook or whatever is that you can't really convey your expressions as you're doing this. So
any subtlety.
Yeah, you could convey something.
Sarcasm.
Being sarcastic, and it would sound completely sincere to the other person.
That's right.
This is why facial expressions are so important in ordinary conversation, because you can tell whether or not someone is smiling and joking or whether or not they're being serious.
Right. And, it's also just as simple as it blocking sound waves coming out of your mouth. I was at a protest on Saturday, and 2 cops came up to a man who was carrying a rifle. He was safely carrying it. It wasn't
Obviously.
at the ready.
They probably just had questions about it.
They wanted to come up and give him a hard time or whatever.
Did they?
Well, they would have if he'd let them, but he knew his rights,
Of course,
and he was like,
okay.
I'm not talking to you. And they were like, well, can you get down from there? And he just turned around and ignored them, basically. And we started asking them questions because I had my video camera with me. I haven't published the video yet, but it should be pretty good. I haven't even had a chance to review it yet. But this cop had a black mask on over her mouth, and I could not hear what she was saying. And I was no more than 3 feet away from her. Mind you, I was not standing directly in front of her. She was speaking at the guy with the gun, but I was directly to her right. So I was in no way a distance from her. I was right there. She could have reached out and touched me, and I couldn't understand what she was saying. No, it wasn't like some BS claim on my part, like, oh, I can't hear you, take the mask off. No, it was, I really can't understand you. My camera cannot hear what you are saying.
It is frustrating, not to mention the level of people being hard of hearing in one ear or both, or just completely deaf in one ear. It's a lot more common than most people realize.
Yeah.
These people require seeing other people's lips in order to understand what they're saying.
Right. I mean,
and now this is totally taken away from this. To say there's no downside to this is absolutely
pure
false.
propaganda. It's pure propaganda. I mean, it's just like to say, well, that there's no downside to just completely obeying everything a government bureaucrat tells you. Well, why aren't people putting on goggles? Fauci said that if they want to go to the max with their protection, they should wear goggles. I've yet to see that happen.
Thank God for that, too.
Yeah.
Bill Gates has more words of wisdom, though.
Restaurants in most of the country will be closed as we go into this wave. And I think,
is what he said.
Sadly, that's appropriate. Depending on how severe it is, the decision about schools is much more.
He said what was going to be closed?
Restaurants. He said, sadly, that's appropriate. Restaurants will be closed. So,
Well, he doesn't care. He's got someone who cooks for him.
He's probably got 2 personal chefs, or if not more than that. But just, to just shrug off, oh, sorry, business owners.
We just got to let some people starve.
You're just going to have to go out of business and lose your entire life savings because, somebody might die somewhere.
A 16-year-old in Maine.
Yeah.
On how severe it is, the decision about schools is much more complicated because they're, the benefits are pretty high. The amount of transmission
the
is
benefits
not
of
the same as
indoctrination.
Yeah, that's why they want to keep schools open.
Right.
Because the only way any of this crap works is, I mean, they've already won in a lot of for a lot of reasons because they do control the school system. I mean,
right.
They're educated to believe in the state because the state is the one educating them.
But
so
it's
they
important
have
to have them.
that.
Right. It's important to have the kids there in their clutches so they can indoctrinate them more effectively.
So how can they manage to do that while also shutting down all of these other places?
Well, they just do it. It's arbitrary. It's the government. It'll be completely hypocritical on their part, but that's what they'll do.
And people won't care.
No.
Well, the statists won't care.
in restaurants and bars. So, trade-offs will have to be made. But the next 4 to 6 months really call on us to do our best because we can see that this will end, and you don't want somebody you love to be the last to die.
Fear, fear, fear.
If somebody has to be the last person to die for all of this crap to go away, man, that would suck for sure. But I mean, someone will have to be the last person to die before all of this goes away. There will be one last COVID death. I don't think it's going away either. I mean, they're going to keep.
It's not going away until people start refusing to obey it, and we're not seeing large enough numbers for that to happen.
I'm going to make a prediction here that Brexit will happen before this goes away. In other words, this is never going away.
Coronavirus.
When do you think life will fully return to what we thought of as normal back in January? No masks, no social distancing, no other protective measures necessary.
He gets a drink.
Certainly by the summer, we'll be way closer to normal than we are now. But even through early 2022, unless we help other countries get rid of this disease and we get high vaccination rates in our country, the risk of reintroduction will be there. And of course, the global economy will be slowed down, which hurts America economically in a pretty dramatic way.
So he rattles on there for a second, but his answer is basically early 2022 is the earliest.
If
yes,
you can get mass inculcation or mass vaccination rates
around the world.
Yeah. So basically what he's saying is if we don't get enough participation in the vaccine, then this could go on forever. And I hope that we don't. Well, I don't want this to go on forever, but I'm not going to get the vaccine, and I don't think you should either.
Me?
You, the listener.
Yeah,
you, the listener.
I would encourage people not to get this because whether people want to think about it or not, it has been rushed. And the last time they did this, I think it was the swine flu or the bird flu or something like that. They panic released a vaccine and it had just tremendous side effects. It killed people and crippled them, I think. I don't remember all the exact details now, but I mean, vaccines can have side effects. Drugs have side effects.
Well, take the mask off. That's the easiest thing you can do right now to prepare yourself, for saying no to a vaccine. You need to start saying no to the mask mandates. Remember, just because the sign says mask required on the store, it doesn't mean that it actually is. You can just say that you have a medical exemption. And you don't have to tell them what your exemption is. It's none of their business.
No, but unfortunately, they can then go, well, this is private property, so you have to leave.
They can, but they probably won't.
They probably won't.
I've never had that happen to me with the exception of the bank, one bank.
That's the best way to do it. Don't think you're going to resist the vaccine, though, if you haven't even attempted to resist the masks. This has been Free Talk Live. We told you this would happen back in January. freetalklive.com.
Mounds and mounds of fur. Our hairballs have hairballs.
Our cat Mama, she's 10 years old. She has dandruff and an oily coat.
I have 2 cats, Dixie and Daisy. Daisy sheds like crazy.
If you love your pet,